...1984 was a fantastic year for Elton John.
Hello everybody and welcome to the second Tiermaker project on the Elton John GregsynthWizard channel. And today, well, it's a great day because not only is it Saturday, but we're going to be talking about Elton John gigs because that's what I like to do and other people like to do so as well. So if you combine all the elements together, it's going to be an excellent project. So for today, we're going to be going back to 1984, but it's not going to be for European Express. We already did that. We're going to be doing the North American leg of the 84 tour, called the Breaking Hearts Tour of 84. And without giving too much away at this point, very interesting tour leg. And, you know, me going through these shows, listening to them, taking notes, and, you know, driving myself to the brink of insanity. You know, my ears are ringing, my head hurts, my eyes water, my nose aches. Basically, this whole tour leg has kind of brought me into a completely different state of mind. But I'm going to soldier on, and, you know, I can't do it myself. I'm not that good. You know, I can't do it myself ranting about the gigs. So I decided to bring in 3 other people to help me discuss these late 84 shows on the tour, and I would like to introduce you to all 3 of these people. So, who would like to go first? Ethan, go ahead.
Hello, I'm Ethan. I was on Euro Express back in... When did we do Euro Express? I don't know, a couple of months ago. Yeah, I was on Euro Express and I enjoyed it. US 84, I like it, but I wouldn't listen to it over Euro. I like the shows, and Elton sounds okay for most of it, frankly, but Euro is the better leg. Yeah. Because
All right. We have somebody else who is from Britain that will grace our presence with his lovely accent. And I believe his name is the Elton Bootlegs. Is that correct?
It is my name. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
I can read. You give me a gold star.
Well done, Greg.
Thank you.
Yes, Smith, I'll give you a gold star. The US 1984 leg, it's a bit different to the European Express where we were consistently praising it. This leg will get some praise, but there will be shows where I think we'll be going off on a completely different tangent. I don't want to give too much away either, but I think we'll have some fun on this.
All right. And normally, you know, I'm polite, so I never would like to go next if there's other people on the project, because that's just the way I do things. I would hold the door for all these people and mumble before I open the door on myself. So I'd like to introduce you to the third person who's going to be discussing the late 84 stuff with me, and that will be the lovely, the legendary, the ever so popular, dynamic sophistication of TSS Killer.
Thank you very much, Greg. So 84 Breaking Hearts for the US leg. As everybody says here, stark contrast to the Euro. It is a very unique tour because unlike other tours where the drug use is high, and so is Elton, really there is a lot of dissonance and a lot of like really different performances where you have night by night something is completely different. Now, normally, from a normal standpoint, you might say, okay, oh, every gig is different? That means it's great. We'll see about that. So, echoing what Ethan has said, the Euro Tour is a lot more consistent, and I would much rather listen to that than this stuff. The only reason why I would listen to the 84, like North American stuff, is if I'm bored as fuck and I need some entertainment. That's pretty much the only thing. Otherwise, the Euro Tour is better, but we'll get to that in just a few moments. All right, Greg.
All right, and before I start, rambling incoherently about things, I like to pay a special tribute to a person who is currently listening to us in the chat here by the name of Hydro. He's going to be listening to us raw.
Yay.
So
Nice birding.
So I've been practicing.
I like it raw.
so he's gonna be our special guest. He's gonna be a special guest, and I figured, hey, he just became a new mod on the server. Let's give him a perk. So there we go. It ain't quite steady aim, but it's good enough. But still, So yeah, hope you enjoy yourself, Hydro. You're gonna be hearing a raw Tiermaker episode, and you can enjoy the fun at your front seat. So there you go. So the American leg of the 84 tour, I agree with everybody. It is a stark contrast to the European tour. The Euro tour was generally extremely consistent, had a lot of Elton's best performances from the era, and most gigs were praised very highly. Even the quote-unquote weaker shows, the ones that we ranked in B, still had redeeming factors about them, and they were listenable, and there was stuff I can find on those shows that I like, and would say, hey, it's not the best, but there's still this, and this, and it's not bad. Now, for America 84, the word consistency is thrown completely out the window, because this is not European 84, and even if it was consistent and stuff, I still would take Euro 84 over America 84, because the European stuff has a lot going for it. On this tour leg, you have a wide variety of gigs, ranging from, in my opinion, very good and worthy of being mentioned among Europe. And then there are some gigs that have me scratching my head, wondering what I'd gotten myself into. And then there are gigs where I'm listening to it and my eyes are watering, and I'm like, I can't believe I got to write about this. And then when it's getting to the point where the comments on the uploads are better than the performances, then that's what I'm dealing with. The American 84 leg, inconsistent. That is a key word that's most likely going to be used on this episode of our tier makers. There are some great gigs, there are some good ones and some decent ones and some questionable ones, and then some that I would put rather low on a list, but that's not how it's going to work, because this is not my list. This is not the GregsynthWizard late 84 tier maker list. No. By popular request of comments and from listening to people's feedback and suggestions and everything, it got a great response last time, so I'm going to try it again here. This second episode of the Tier Maker will feature again the teams of the Nancy Boys and American Muscle, because we're back, baby! Woo!
And that's a shoot.
Woo!
That's a shoot. So since
What?
What?
Who said that Dimitri's teaming up with you? I think
America
you're on your
versus
own again.
England. It's Nancy Boys versus American Muscle, like last time. So basically, but that's what I had on paper. But I have a feeling that no one's going to agree with that.
No, we're not. We're gonna try to be in agreement.
Yeah. So I'm going to throw out the sheet of paper I had, and we're going to do our fatal 4-way free for all. Everybody gang up on me and all that crap, and we're all going to work together to make this tier maker in a way that kind of reflects all of our views together. This is not going to be strictly me doing it myself. It's going to take the four of us, and we're going to fight and we're gonna argue, and we're gonna debate. We're gonna just do horrible things to each other through the mics and stuff. But we're gonna do this stuff together and make the best tier maker list that we can. How about that?
Okay. That sounds good.
Good, thank you. I've been practicing that.
Yes.
So we're gonna start.
That sounds a lot better.
There, you see, I tell you, see, we're in agreement. Yay! Give me a gold star. So, the first tour gig that we have, from this leg, is Tempeh, and starting things off. So glad we got an upgrade of this. It's more complete, no noise, much better representation of the show. For me, the gig is not bad, but at the same time, it's very average. It's sort of middling. It's kind of like a worse, weaker version of Birmingham '84, where, yeah, it's solid, but you're not going to get standout performances. Elton sounds good on the whole, even great on some songs, but the mood's a little lackadaisical, a little down in the dumps. He mentions, this last tour. So right away, the atmosphere isn't really what you want. And the band are fine, but kind of safe on the numbers, not really experimenting, kind of in the middle of the road. But it's not a bad show, but it's definitely not really a show that I'm going to go to and say, you know what, this represents late '84. So for me personally, and I want some takes on this, and I can't wait to hear these. I want to put Tempeh kind of right in the middle, like right about B-ish, kind of low to mid B, because it's solid, but it's not amazing. It's it's kind of in the middle of the road, and it's consistent in a way, but it's just not really, not all the ingredients are there, but I think it's okay. So low to mid B. So who would like to go next?
I'll take the reins here. So Tempeh is a bit of a mixed bag for me. Number one, for some reason on the first few American versions of Restless, Elton accidentally starts to sing the second verse. He sings the first verse. He sings the first verse lyrics of like the Pick the Poison, which I don't even know. I don't understand how the fuck he fucked that up, considering that the last band gig that he did, which is Wembley Stadium, just a couple of less than 2 months before, he knew what lyrics to use. So I don't understand. Maybe he was trying something different. I don't know. But there's some other inconsistencies. The band aren't as tight as in later gigs. Elton plays it very safe vocally. Philadelphia Freedom has very bad harmony problems. There's some really off moments of that show. I mean, it's nothing too bad, but it's just you could tell that the band isn't at their best and not 100%.
They sound rusty a little bit.
Yeah, so I will agree with Greg here. Mid B seems about right, because this is a gig that I would often skip, because realistically, I just feel no energy. It feels like the band is going through the motions. Realistically,
yeah. It's like it's there. It's you got a bit of band rust. You got sloppy moments going on, and it's one of those things where it's I'll listen to it, but I'm not going to go out of my way and just put this on my player and say, I'm going to listen to Tempeh '84 because it's Tempeh Day. No, that's just me though. Elton Bootlegs. How about you?
Well, this is an interesting recording, because I'd argue it's an important moment, one of the most important moments in his history at the time. Because on recording, you actually hear him say, on the first night of the US tour, this is the final tour, that's it. And you're like, what? What's triggered this? And he's just in a mood, which is reflected throughout the show. there are one or two nice performances, but I wouldn't be rating it as high as I would some other shows later on in the tour, and also on the European Express. I would actually give it a low B myself.
All right, Mr. Ethan.
Tempe 84. This is a perfectly average show for a perfectly average leg. Yeah, it's nothing really interesting. Band sound rusty. Elton sounds okay. Again, he announced his last tour, and you even hear booing at the end of Saturday Night's Horror for Fighting for whatever reason. Maybe it was reaction to him saying it was the last tour. I don't know, but yeah, I'd agree with Greg and TSS. This is definitely average show, so around a B for me.
Yeah, I honestly think, because I couldn't quite figure it out back in the past on the old copy, but the booing and the negative reactions at the end of the recording. I honestly think Elton cut the show short. The house lights went up, and he didn't play the second encore. That's the only reason I can think of that would have a response like that from the crowd, cutting the show short. I could be wrong on that, but it's just, it just doesn't sound like, because
You
the
can
recording,
hear house music.
Yeah, so I'm like, I honestly think he cut the show short. That's what I think. But yeah, I mean, so what? Low to mid B?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
fair. That's fair. Who would like to start the next gig? Tucson.
Let Ethan do it, I guess.
Yeah, let
I'll
Ethan.
start it.
Okay. One of
Elton
them.
Bootlegs. Elton Bootlegs.
Okay, yeah.
I'll do
Okay.
it. I'll do it because it's my favourite place in America, Tuscan. That, for those who don't remember the old debate we did, I accidentally called Tucson Tuscan. But anyway, it's a similar gig to Tempe, really. There are some nice performances. There are some performances where you're sort of questioning what's going on. Philadelphia Freedom isn't very good. I just remember his voice giving out and backing vocals not being particularly great. I wonder if this is a similar show to Tempe in the fact that Saturday is the final song, although the tape fades out at this show compared to Tempe. Maybe he was in a better mood, so he would have done the second encore. Personally, I give this a mid B because it is an improvement on the previous night, as my voice gives out.
Hey, following the reign of Elton on the show, yay! Consistency, great action.
Yay!
So,
Audience recording.
for me, Tucson is kind of strange because there are some really off moments in the show. Like the Philadelphia Freedom that was mentioned. Then you have very, very coarse vocals on Tiny Dancer, but thankfully those settled down soon. Then you have one more era where you're starting to get into the choppy phrasing and rushing parts and basically some of the songs don't sound like what they should be. They either come off more either rushed through or lackadaisical. But then there's some other great performances on Tucson. Like The Candle is much better here compared to Tempe, where they just fuck it up. Leave On sounds fantastic.
Yeah, this and Tempe are the only ones to have an F5 in the last chorus.
Yeah, he goes for the rare record phrasing, which the second of two attempts. And
and this one was a better attempt than the previous night.
Yes, I agree. And Tucson has some good.
Did he not hit an F5 at Melbourne in the overtones?
Oh, we're counting the real fucking voice.
We're counting the real notes here.
Yeah, not overtones from the nodes. God damn it. It's like, God, my throat hurts thinking about that show. But
to be honest about Tucson, the band atmosphere at least is much better in my opinion than the previous night, because the previous night was kind of like they're not really getting into it. At least at Tucson, they are like giving a fuck about the gig a little bit. Although, like I said, you can still tell that they're very like not seasoned. I don't know. Maybe this is when the drugs started to flow, and this is when a lot of people took drugs on off stage, and it affected their performance on stage. I don't know what it is, but it's a slight improvement from the previous gig. But like I said, as Greg said, and as Elton Bootlegs said, the biggest problem that I have with this is that it's still very pedestrian. Really nothing to write home about. Aside from the F5 and Leave On, there really is nothing else that really stands out for me in this show.
I
so
do
middle
think,
B.
Yeah, I do think
Little Refrigerator is actually good.
Little Refrigerator is fine, but there's better versions later on, so that's why it's just very pedestrian in comparison, I think.
Yeah, I do think there are some more standout moments and performances compared to Tempe, and I think the band is a little better, even though there's some inconsistencies on some of the performances. And every once in a while, you kind of get a glimmer of the European Express band.
Yeah, tone-wise. Yeah.
Yeah, and the playing, in some places, resembles it, but yeah, they still sound kind of rusty and kind of getting into the groove. So I'll also put this at B, but it's going to be a little bit higher of a B compared to
it's going to be above Tempe. Yeah,
I'd say if Tempe is a B, a low to mid B, I would say this is a rock solid B. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it. It's essentially an improved Tempe in some aspects, but still has some of the same problems. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And Ethan, do you have any thoughts to add onto Tucson?
No, only to echo what you said, really, and what you and everybody else said. It's slight improvement over Tucson. I mean, you could actually think Tempe is a warm-up show, really, for the tour. But I just think it's a slight improvement over Tempe. Yeah, so.
Yeah. TSS, do you want to start San Francisco?
Yeah, San Francisco. For a while we had like incorrect dates and incorrect recordings. So we ended up finding that, we originally thought that no California shows existed, but apparently we accidentally found out that on some of these recordings they do exist, and one of them is San Francisco here. This was actually in Dade City, which is a little bit outside San Francisco, but people would call it San Francisco anyway. And besides, Elton says, "Good evening, San Francisco." So with this gig, first of all, musically much better. Much better. Like what a difference a week make, like 10 days make. Performance is a lot better here. They're more in line. Restless has some nice A4s in it. This is when this is when they're really getting into the groove. Philadelphia Freedom, I believe Elton hits like one of the B flats in full voice, which sounds fucking great. The Benny is when it starts to get a little bit funky with freaking Elton trying to do his best Scatman John impression 12 years before Scatman John was a thing. It's like yeah, but it's like but overall, I mean, this show vocally, and the next one as well, they're more reminiscent of a European show. Like Elton's voice is great. He has a nice tone. Little Refrigerator is fantastic as well. Don't Let the Sun again. You see shades of the European Express voice. Although to be honest, I think it's just like his state of mind is a bit worse, because I could tell that he took something before he got on stage. But the overall feeling, it feels like a weak European Express tour show, and that's what I think gives it a redeeming quality. So for this, I would actually rank it a low A.
Yeah, for me, San Francisco to me is one of the few. This is just me talking, but I think this is one of the few really truly good shows.
Yes.
From this tour leg. It's it's a lot more consistent. Elton sounds like his European self for the most part. A lot more into the performances. The band, for the most part, sound fantastic. I mean, there's some goofy shit still going on like Bitch's Back, where they can't seem to start the song right. But it's a massive improvement, and it does have a lot more redeeming qualities. It's compared to the previous two shows, and it is legitimately a good show. Does this compete with a lot of the amazing Euro shows? No, but it can. I would listen to this and say, you know what, it fits into Europe, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, because I will still take a lot of the, the higher ranked A shows upwards over San Francisco, but I still think San Francisco is a very respectable show with Elton sounding very good, and the band are into it, and you have more of the European express vibes kicking in. So yeah, I would say San Francisco is an A, low to mid A. I do think the show, I would take most of the A shows over in Europe over this one, with the exception of maybe like Birmingham, and I'll have to think. There's some bits on some other ones,
Like
but,
Belfast.
Yeah, so I would put this one probably like kind of like a moderately low A, if that makes sense.
Yes.
But that's not a slight on it. I actually think it is a really good show, especially for this tour leg. Elton Bootlegs.
Yeah, this is for me the best show on the US tour. Elton sounds excellent. The band are very good. Some of the performances you can rival with Europe. I'd actually give this a solid A rather than a low A. And if we were doing everything separately, i.e. like you just took a leg and you said you have to give something an all-star, this would be the all-star gig. However, on the overall spectrum, I'd have it as a solid A. I also enjoy Crocodile Rock, where I think somebody gets on stage and pulls Elton off his piano because everybody starts cheering. But yeah, most of the performances are excellent, and it is. We do go back to Europe very briefly, and I say very briefly because, boy, some of the shows coming up. Oh my god!
Oh yeah.
I want to enjoy the eye of the storm right now. But Ethan.
Yeah, again, I think this show and the next show could rival stuff like maybe Stockholm in Europe. Elton sounds good. The band sound miles ahead of where they were a few shows earlier. Yeah, and One More Hour is very good from this show as well. It's like a Euro version, only with the choppy phrasing slightly in there as well.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
Romero is definitely one of the better versions from this leg.
Yeah.
So yeah, so far we're all pretty much in agreement. I'm actually quite shocked.
Up to now, anyway.
Up to now, I'll just watch later on. I'll start the next one. This is Tacoma, and
Tacoma, Washington.
Yep, Tacoma, Washington, and this one, it's an interesting one because years and years ago, the name of this show was mislabeled as a very high gen of San Francisco. And there was actually no legitimate Tacoma recording. It was like, as what TSS Killer said, random dates and random cities were being circulated, and it was a complete mess. Thankfully, we got this fixed. So now we have a legitimate San Francisco with the right date. And we have a legitimate Tacoma, which actually turned out to be a new show.
Yes.
So that's the first thing I noticed was this doesn't sound anything like what I'm used to hearing. And so I listened to it and I'm like, this is awesome. And I listened to it and I'm like, this is, to me, I'm going to have to disagree a little bit with Elton Bootlegs here. I think this is the show
Mm-hmm.
that represents North American Breaking Hearts as the star show.
Mm-hmm.
The best one, because I think you have a lot more of the European vibe. Elton, yes, he is goofy in some spots, but he sounds like he's in control rather than being fucked off his face, sort of, all over the place. Here, they play like they're in Europe. Elton sounds great. He sounds a lot. He sounds a lot like a mid upper tier European show for the vocal shade.
It sounds like it kind of sounds like early to mid May European Express in terms of like the vocals, I'd say.
Yeah, and on the whole, he sounds excellent. And I'm like, where the fuck was this consistency? Like, if the whole tour sounded like this and like San Francisco, then I wouldn't be writing some of the things I write on YouTube, but I have to. But to me, Tacoma is the show for this tour leg. It's, to me, the most well-rounded show. It's not flawless, but considering some of the stuff coming up, I would not be embarrassed to show somebody and say, hey, this is Elton on the American leg, late '84. And I think it's a fantastic show. Now, where would I put this one? Now, if I were to look at the European stuff, obviously this is not all-star, so Milan and Leeds and Edinburgh can, breathe a sigh of relief. When it comes to S's, I think this show has... I'm kind of torn between the highest of A and the lowest of S, so it's an ass gig. But I'm really torn between the two because I think it's that good that it can compete with European shows comfortably. But I would still take like Vienna and Barcelona over this, and some of Wembley would sound better. But then again, Tacoma has some things that are absolutely fantastic and can rival and beat some European stuff. So slight controversial take. I'm open to the discussion. I honestly think this belongs in the lowest of S's.
I will actually agree with that, and not because of just the vocal performance. The other thing that I like about this gig, and this is like my favorite gig on this leg of the tour as well, is that you just listen to like the improv stuff. Like let me tell you, Benny is fucking like crazy. It's just so random. You have Elton after the piano solo going scoop up the doop up the doop up Benny. It's like freaking just random shit, but it makes sense. It's like controlled chaos, and I really can't fault any of Elton's vocal performances. His vocal performance here is like almost tops. I would say, yeah, like I said, as I mentioned before, it's like it's reminiscent of like an early to mid-May European Express show. So yeah, definitely I would surely agree with that. The band is on fire. Elton is a bit goofy, but he knows how to control himself, and he doesn't do like some of the shit that we'd see about a couple of weeks later. So I would definitely put this in the lowest of S echelon, just because that I think it can compete with some of the S. It's better than most of the A shows on the European tour. Plus you have like Leave On, which sounds great. Little Refrigerator sounds great. Restless does the right words now, so it's fine. So realistically, this can compete. So low S for me.
It's a fucking shame the rest of the tour wasn't like this.
Yeah, it's like well, it all goes downhill from here.
Yeah, we're getting out of the eye. We're going into the eye wall after this. Ethan, I'll let you go
what do you
next.
think? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly agree. Like this show is amazing. It's a very early Euro show, really, just in America. I'd say it beats Copenhagen, and it beats Stuttgart, and but it doesn't beat Vienna. But yeah, I'd say either very low S or very high A. Yeah, I wouldn't say any different. Yeah.
Mr. Elton Bootlegs.
Yes.
I would like you to go next. What do you
Right.
think of Tacoma?
For me, it's a nice show. Personally, and it's only a personal opinion, I do prefer San Francisco. And that is more due to the fact that I think with less Elton flubs than we have on this show, admittedly, the band are excellent here. I'm not sure I agree with the Stuttgart verdict of Ethan. I prefer Stuttgart to all of the US shows. I would give this a mid-A. If I gave San Francisco a mid-A, I'd have to give Tacoma it as well. I can't really then just change my mind on San Francisco and go, oh yeah, I'm going to give it this. Maybe that's because I'm more lukewarm on some of these shows, but that's where I would put it. However, if you want to put it in a low S, I'm happy for you to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean...
See, I'm a respectful person, unlike
know.
a certain Mr. Barnes.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Wait, hang on. Whatever. But still, I mean, Tacoma...
Yeah, you agree with me. Yeah, good.
Whatever. But yeah, yeah.
You know what that means, Greg.
Oh my God. Whatever. But I think
You lose.
I think generally there's a consensus, even if some of the rankings are a bit different. That at least these two shows that were mentioned, San Francisco and Tacoma, are respectable, high quality shows.
Absolutely.
So I mean,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I just think the bands, I just think everything's a little bit better overall at Tacoma compared to San Francisco, and there's a little bit more of that. I don't know how to really describe it, but it's that grit, sort of that surge of energy you would hear on, some of those European Express shows where the band is pushing themselves a bit harder. When then Elton comes in with the, with that overdriven, powerful vocal style.
Yeah.
Like, because to me, that's what gives Tacoma to me the edge over San Francisco, because San Francisco to me sounds like a European show, with some great performances, but Tacoma kind of takes that a step further, and it has more of the edge on it that makes the European shows the way they are. So that's why I would push Tacoma above San Francisco. But to also on the flip side of that, there are people out there who prefer San Francisco, over Tacoma, on the comments and stuff. So, I mean, it's not like it's a slaughter fest between the two gigs or anything. I mean, these
I think they're pretty much on terms that they can duke it out. But I think it's just a matter of both. I think taste and consistency, because you have to look at it from all aspects, I think.
Yeah, and I think Tacoma has enough of the qualities to just about get it.
Yeah, about edge it out.
Because if it didn't have the same energy, that if it didn't have like some aspects of the energy and some of the gutsy moments, I would drop it to A and kind of tie it with San Francisco. But
Yes.
I just think Tacoma has that like little extra punch behind it, the little extra cylinder that just
These
gives
two
it
These two shows are definitely the sweet spot of the tour. Then.
Yeah, it's a shame it peaked
yeah.
early. But yeah, I mean, so it's basically borderline between the two, going into low S. Is this the
Yes.
consensus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
so my question is, who would like to dive into the eye wall? And now,
Well, remember how we all praised Tacoma and San Francisco? Well, let's just say that this praise is all gone for this next show. With Alpine Valley, this is definitely where you start to see the drug use and the substance take effect. With him high as a kite on virtually all these, all the show, and just voice is bad and the band sound okay, and with this show it's like all of the band except Frank Mandel is either on some sort of substance or drunk on stage. It's just a fun show to listen to. Yeah.
Oh God.
How about like Philadelphia Freedom, where you start to hear him freaking the vocal breaks and shit?
Oh God.
You're so cold, right?
A reduced version of the song. Imagine if you'd done the second verse and the chorus again.
Oh man, Ethan, why did you have to bring this up? I was feeling so good with the previous 2 shows, and then this comes up.
Well, it's not his fault that it's the next recording.
I know it's not his fault. I'm blaming the fact that we have this as the next recording.
And it's not my fault that it's in glorious high quality as well.
And it's not his fault either that it's an upgrade.
Oh God, Ethan, please continue. And where would you put this?
Oh God, low B or like a very high C. It's just very low B or very high C. I mean, what a downgrade from fucking.
Just got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, very low B or very high C. Yeah, definitely.
Oh God. All right, I got to get this out of the way because I'm going to feel sick just talking about this show. Okay, so one of my favorite subscribers on the channel by the name of NCF1,
Yay!
The National
Shout out to you, by the way.
Yep. Shout out to you. The National Cassowary Foundation is proud to have you, and whatever it means, but still,
Whatever it means.
this user made my job easier because his comments are often better than the performances in some of these gigs, because he's got some of the best comments I've read on these uploads. But NCF1 summed it up perfectly on this gig. He said, wow, song structure slaughtered, lyrics not a major concern this night, but high energy was the glue that kept everything together. So basically, this show is nowhere close to the previous few at all. This is like, you have sloppy band not knowing where to play, you got the structures are all fucked up, band coming in at the wrong times, chopping off sections of songs. You have Elton skipping sections of songs and trying to go into stuff too early. And it's a shame because his vocal shape sounds pretty fucking solid, but if he can't deliver the songs, completely right because of his state of mind and botching lyrics throughout the whole thing, and it's like, what a fucking clusterfuck of a show. I mean, yeah, and to think, this is the show we got a massive upgrade on. So
A+ now. We get to hear that shit. Yeah.
So absolutely. Oh, it's a what? I mean, and if I was critical of Tucson and Tempe, I would take those gigs any day over, Alpine Valley, because at least the band aren't sloppy on multiple songs, and Elton knows where he's at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, Alpine Valley to me is wow. I mean, I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry, Ethan, but this is nowhere close to B. This is like.
Well, I said B or C, so that's fine. Yeah.
But I honestly think this is like a low C. I think it's like bordering on like mediocrity. And there's some poor bits in there, and it's just sloppy. This is not what I want.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that. I still say it would remain in either a low B or a high C. The problem with putting in low C is that, well, if we see the shows that are coming up afterwards, there are some even more fuck-ups, and the fucking tone is gone. So at least here, the redeeming quality is the vocal tone isn't fucking completely gone. This is more of a show where you listen to it for the entertaining fuck-ups and not necessarily for the great performances. So I would actually put this at a high C.
Oh, Elton sure hits high C's on this show, but
No,
yeah.
the problem is somebody spiked his high C before getting on stage.
yeah, I'm just like, I'm sorry, but this is just what a fucking downgrade compared to Tacoma and San Francisco, and it's like the band are just so off. It's like, I swear the only person that knew what he was doing on stage was Fred Mandel.
Fred Mandel, yeah.
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 Because it's like, and the reason why I was ranking it lower is because the band are just so sloppy and just missing cues and felting fucking lyrics up, and like, it's like, what happened?
Hey Greg, have you sent Fred any of these the links to the videos for him to reminisce about?
I didn't want to ruin his day, so no.
Well, also on that point, I also want to point out a thing that Elton said in like an interview with Parkinson in '98, where he said that, or was it in 2000? It was in '98 or 2000, where he said that he played where they played sad songs, Middle Eight for like 25 times. I'm wondering if it's on the American tour, because realistically, I can see that happening. Maybe it's before Alpine Valley, because the band is so out of it. I don't think it might have happened. I don't think it happened in Europe, because at least in Europe they have a little bit more sense. They're more sensible, even though they're pretty much high. I think it might have happened. I think it might have happened. Go ahead.
Unless it was the period where Copenhagen existed and they threw it in the set the following day.
Yeah, but it could either be that, or maybe
Rotterdam?
between Tacoma and Alpine Valley. I could see that happening.
Yeah, it's weird because I know the interview that's being said, and he said, at Sydney on the first night of the tour, I haven't been to bed, and the band was so stoned they followed me. I played sad songs in the Middle Eight 20 times, and the keyboard player was completely straight. So I'm like, I don't know where this happened on the tour.
And also, Davey also mentioned the same thing in a 2013 interview, so we know that it's true.
Yeah, it's just, I got to get my hands on that recording.
It's like, we all followed Elton, apart from the keyboard player who was sober.
Yeah, it's like, but Alpine Valley, going back to that, I mean, I remember when we did the European Express Tiermaker, remember how we were at Copenhagen, and I was debating whether to put it at like C or B or something, and
right.
you guys managed to convince me to compromise and put it at the lower B.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually glad that you guys said that, because to me, Copenhagen is way better than Alpine Valley. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not going to put it down at E, because it's not like complete shit or any of that stuff.
None of us are, you moron.
But no, and it's not D, because I don't even think it's like... there's some salvage moments, like the quality's great, Fred's great, the energy's there, just everything's misfiring. And there are some performances that are legitimately, like, not bad, like towards the end of the night, aren't like too terrible and stuff. And his voice just sounds good when it's not veering off in unplanned directions. So, I don't know. Okay. I can compromise. Okay. High-ish C from my point of view. How about that?
That's fine.
Hooray.
What about Elton Bootlegs? What does he think?
That's what I was going to give it a high C. So when Greg gave it a low C, I'm thinking, good, I disagree with him for once. The highlight of this gig is the first chorus of Tiny Dancer. Hold me closer. I remember hearing that on the old source when it sounded like it was recorded. I don't know where it was recorded. It sounded like a tin recording. But yeah, he's just all over the place. But this is a precursor to what we're about to go into for the rest of the tour. Well, maybe not the whole rest of the tour.
Yeah, I was going to say
there are a lot of shows that follow in this vein. The thing, as Greg and TSS have said, At least his vocal tone's good.
Yeah.
And Fred Mandel's good. Go Fred. Hey, but now we go to Greg's neck of the woods.
Yeah, you got to your neck of the woods, synth. Yeah.
Yes, Waterford. Wait, I'm sorry, Detroit. Sorry.
What?
And
Well, you have to. Well, you're gonna have to. You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to wait about 2 years for him to come by your neck of the woods.
And Greg himself was in attendance at this show, -6.
My mother attended this show.
Yeah.
And
So
she
I
has
think it's
fond
only.
memories of it.
I think it's all right for Greg to start out.
Okay, all right. For me, this is just my take on it, but when it comes to recordings that are missing a lot of songs, if you're missing a third of the show or half the show, it can kind of get a little bit tricky on ranking things because you don't have the full set to really rank. So I can only go off what I hear. There's still enough on this recording for me to kind of give it a general overview, but that could change if an alternative copy comes up with better quality, more songs. At Detroit, it's an improvement over Alpine Valley in the sense that Elton knows where he's at, and the band are tighter. I will say, though, this show is kind of similar to some of the aspects on Tempe and Tucson where they're not really going all out. They're kind of playing it safe. It's a bit by the numbers sounding. And Elton sounds quite good, a little rough on the upper end and stuff, but it's okay. I mean, it's nothing amazing. It's just there on the tour. But that could change if we have a better copy. And there's still some decent stuff going on here and there, but realistically, this isn't really the best representation of the tour leg. I'm going to put it at a low B. Personally.
Okay.
TSS, you're up.
Yeah, I echoed the same with Greg here. The thing is, though, even though this show is very, very incomplete, the real thing is that at least his mind is a lot there. Although there's still a lot of like the growling, like Kiss the Bride starts to do like the 89 phrasing shit. But at least here he can do it while his voice is slightly cleaner. But aside from that, it's like he's going through the motions. There really isn't much in the way of like real standout here. But this is a step up from Alpine Valley. At least the band aren't fucking everything up. Elton does have questionable moments on the vocal side, like for lyrical, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all. But I would concur with Greg and give this a low B.
All right, Ethan.
Yeah, this is a massive improvement, mind wise and band wise from the previous show. Again, you're back to like Tempe and Tucson argument where nothing really interesting happens. Unless there's a new source code with more songs of it. But yeah, it's kind of just like there in the tour, and yeah, I'd give it a B or a low B. Yeah.
Elton Bootlegs. How about you?
I'm surprised you didn't give us an all-star, Greg, because it's in your neck of the woods.
Hey, I don't suck the gig's dick that much. So go ahead.
Well, to be fair, when you said low B, I thought, bloody hell, I've agreed with him again. It's solid without being spectacular. There are some very good moments, but overall, it's just something that you'd listen to it, you think it's good, but it's something that you wouldn't really go back to unless you really wanted to. I mean, Rocket Man's got very nice improv. I will give that credit, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, so basically, it's solid, it's decent, without being spectacular. That's essentially what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah.
Similarly, the next gig.
Go ahead. You start Toronto.
Go on then, I'll start, Toronto. We've got video footage of this, which is very nice.
Yes.
Which probably adds something more to this when you're able to actually watch what's going on and the faces he's pulling and gifts he's accepting from the crowd. It's a shame this is also incomplete because I would like to see the full footage of it. But we have one of the first performances of one of our favourite songs, "Who Wears These Shoes, Darling." He doesn't do that, thankfully, on this version, but as the tour goes on, well, we get some interesting versions of that. Yeah, this is another just sort of solid but steady show, and I do enjoy this show just because you've got the footage. I think if we didn't have the footage and you just had the recording, it would just be another run-of-the-mill show. But yeah, it's a nice watch and a nice listen, so I will give it mid-B. I'll give it around the 10 level.
Yeah, I will agree with that with Elton Bootlegs here. What makes this great, as Elton Bootlegs said, that there's a video, and that means we have the only recorded video footage of Little Refrigerator and Who Wears These Shoes, where on Little Refrigerator you see Fred playing the rhythm guitar, and like I said, it's like high energy. You can just imagine, if we had an actual show that was recorded like video wise on this show. So just imagine. Well, of course, probably not. Probably the reason why I didn't want to fucking do a video on this is because, well, Elton is fucking on drugs, and then imagine that as a fucking official release, man. But also we get a nice version of Levon being caught on videotape. It's really cool. I think it's nice to see some of the songs that we would never see again on videotape. I think that's what really gets it here. And also the moment in Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting where you see the whole shtick of them on their knees and going on the stage. And I think at some point, like after Benny, like freaking Elton gets on his like knees and stuff and like waddles towards like the audience to get like a flower or something like that. So yeah, with that being said, like I said, it's a better gig than Detroit, but if we didn't have the video footage, it would just be average. But yeah, definitely mid B for me. Still very entertaining show to watch just for the visuals.
Yeah, Ethan, would you like to go next?
Yeah, but yeah, it's just echoing what TSS and Leg said. Yeah, it's a good show, and it's nice that we have a video of it, and it's the first version of Who Wears These Shoes. So, yeah, I agree with them too.
Yeah, for me, I do think it is a step above Detroit. But like Detroit, I think that while the gig, what we have is very solid, and yes, the video is a good, sort of a bonus to it. I do think that while the gig is solid, there's not like anything that would just, just be incredibly amazing by any stretch, in the sense that nothing like says like, oh yeah, like this is the version or this is one of the best. It's just solid, good enough, fair. I mean, it's consistent. It's not a bad gig, and there's good energy, and there's some really good playing on this gig, especially the guitar work and the Refrigerator having some good moments. And there's some good stuff on it, no doubt. It's solid. And I will say, though, the band do sound tighter than the other B-ranked gigs like Tucson and Tempe.
Yeah.
So at that front, I would say that it's solid, it's consistent, and it's kind of it's there in a way, but it's not bad. So yeah, I would say right around a mid B would be probably the appropriate
still higher
ranking.
than Detroit. Yeah,
I would put it up. I would put it above Detroit. So I'll have it there. Next fucking gig.
Yes.
Can I go first?
Yes, go
Yeah,
ahead.
let
Please.
Elton Bootlegs go first.
This show is one that I would rank differently to all of you guys. For sheer comedy, for everything for it, I would put this show in the All Stars category because Elton doesn't know where he is, and we get some of the funniest performances you're ever going to hear on stage. Leave On. There's a line in Leave On where I described it as the most random thing I've ever heard in the song. And for most of the gig, you're sat listening going, where the hell is he? He's not on stage. He's on another planet somewhere.
He's still in his hotel room.
He's still in his hotel room. It's like he's just not there. But the thing is, the band sound all right. But the problem is when the lead singer's not there and they have to follow him, it doesn't work.
Little Fridger.
Little refrigerator. Oh no!
Oh, one more arrow where he completely fucks up the first chorus, and it's the only version that he ends the song on a C5. I was like, where the fuck is he? Like, where is he? He's like, not here.
We also have Elton's got the munchies as well during Yellow Brick Road because balls, pork, sausages finally emerge. I don't know why on earth they emerge. I mean, tequila sours I can get, and vodka and tonics, and other varieties of alcoholic drinks, but walls, pork, sausages. Like, Americans wouldn't know what they are.
They're sausages, though.
Yeah, well, obviously. But
wouldn't they be like Vienna sausages, like the small little canned sausages that you usually get?
Yeah.
Kinda. But they also do them as a pre-packed normal sausage that isn't in a can.
Right.
But Walls would be a UK product. That's why I'd be like, Americans probably like, Walls? What are Walls? I think it's special.
And also Elton Bootlegs loves the candle in the wind from this version.
No, I do not.
Yes, you do.
I hate Candle in the Wind from some of the versions from this leg. Anyway, the real verdict isn't an all-star. If it was for comedy effect, yeah, it would be. This has to be. It's one of the worst shows on the tour, so I'm gonna have to give it a mid-D. There are one or two redeemable qualities, i.e. the band sound okay.
I'll go next. I'll actually put it at a high D. While I think there are going to be ones that are later on that are going to be worse, some of the flubs on this gig, just like this is the only gig that I would listen just for the comedy itself. But in terms of like vocal performances and other things, also Too Low for Zero is fucking random. High D. There's really. I would only just listen to bits and pieces of this gig just if I wanted a good laugh, if I was feeling depressed or something. Because otherwise, I would not listen to this just for it's like, oh, this show is great. No, it's not great. I would just want to listen to it if I wanted to laugh. So high D for me.
Oh boy, St. Paul.
Greg's gonna give it an all-star.
Oh, St. Paul. Man, if I thought Alpine Valley was something, then this is like, okay, you have the worst version of Little Refrigerator performed, where Elton completely throws the band off and voice gives out multiple times, and then does some of the most nonsensical, stupid phrasing that I've heard on the song towards the end. And then you have, like, when you sing songs, the intonation's wobbly, so not hit notes on top. You have lyrical flubs galore on songs. It's just like he's completely off in his own world. Then you have like stuff getting mistimed on "Don't Let the Sun," which is one of the worst versions for the Prime Live. Sad Songs isn't exactly what I would call, it's sad to listen to. And then you have. Then you have One More Arrow, which is one of the worst performances in the Prime Live. Then you have just like he's not there. The deliveries are all over the place. The notes aren't often hit cleanly. It's just, it's funny. It is one of the most entertaining gigs on the whole tour. And yeah, for comedy purposes, if I were to rank comedy, it would be S or All Stars. But yeah, this is one of the worst gigs in the Prime Live, and I would argue that it's in like the bottom tier gigs for this era and the Prime Live era in general, because Elton's performances are just so erratic and just off kilter that it's just, if you listen to these just without looking for comedy, you would think like, what's going on? Like, the train wrecking of songs, the random phrasing, and just the bad deliveries on songs, just like, they make me grit my teeth and make my eyes water. And it's just, and it's awful. It's awful. And I was telling myself, don't put it in E, because there are some salvageable moments.
Well, yeah. I mean, no. I mean, I personally think it does not. It's better than an E. It's not in. It's not in the same echelon.
You're right. It's better than E. I'm putting it in D. But still, it's just. This is not the gig I want to go and listen to if I want to hear 84 Elton. This is one of the last choices I would ever pick for 84, because I think it's one of the worst shows
Absolutely.
he's ever done.
Yeah.
It's just it sucks. Go ahead.
So Ethan, what do you think?
Again, like, if it was comedy, it would be an All Stars definitely. But as like a show wise, this show's all over the place. The lead singer isn't there, although the band sound good, which is always a plus. So yeah. A D, a solid D.
yeah. This is like big D. That's what it is. You'll never see this on Euro. That's all I'm gonna say.
No.
Yeah, because the thing is, I've had people ask me, well, why wouldn't you put Copenhagen or Second Milan down low? I'm like, first of all, they're not like this gig, and second of all, Second Milan has the excuse that at least the first third of the show is fantastic, and some of the later performances after he falls off the fucking stage, sound all right. And Ow! And then Copenhagen has the excuse that at least his voice is good, and there are some standout performances that are legitimately really good. Amongst the goofiness. So those two gigs have an excuse. And then, for Alpine Valley, why this is not at D compared to St. Paul, Alpine Valley has the excuse because at least, there are some salvageable performances, on this show in the ring of the clusterfuck ones.
Yeah.
But this one, I really can't find anything all that redeeming, with the exception of maybe a line here, a line there. Maybe a couple of performances aren't as goofy as others, but thankfully, that's it. I'm sorry, but this is one of the worst gigs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm out of breath. Who wants to start Kansas City?
I will.
Go ahead.
So Kansas City is a slight step up from St. Paul, but for me, I'll just give my ranking and I'll tell you why. It's a low C. The only reason why I'm giving it a low C is that there is a few interesting moments in this gig, but there's some other ones where it's just like you're saying to yourself, like, what the fuck? Like, Levon has some of the worst flubs that you will ever see, at least of this month. You have, it's like, NCF put it best, it's like, Levon, he wants to go to Venus. And then in the last chorus, he's like, and it shall believe on, and he shall be a good man. It's fucking low, like fucking baritone voice randomly, and he does like album phrasing in the line after that, and like, dude, he's still fucked off his mind. But at least the performances here have some redeeming qualities for it. Like Benny is super fucking funny, but at least it's entertaining. You know, at least some of these things. Oh yeah, and who wears these shoes is fucking funny, darling. All this shit, you have all that crap. Restless is really is actually quite surprising, and because he just fucking randomly just stops singing. but for this one, even though he's about, I would say, just a tad less goofy than freaking St. Paul, at least he's there. At least he can actually, you know, I mean, if somebody were to hold up two fingers, you can actually tell them that you're holding up two fingers. You know, so but yeah, well, whatever. But I would say, I mean, like I said, very rough moments, but at least here it's still a marked improvement from St. Paul. So I would still give it a low. I would still give it a low C. It's still nothing fantastic or anything like that. But I think it has a decent balance of entertainment factor and performance. You know, actual performance, not just, you know, let's just pretend that you're not here and then you just do random shit. That I can at least not give it a D. I'll just put it in the low C category for this one.
Kansas City. It is a comedic gig. It's very, very funny. For me, yeah, it's essentially a slightly better St. Paul. You know, Elton's still goofy, but a little bit less goofy. And there's a lot of funny moments, random phrasing that doesn't make sense, and phrasing that makes you scratch your head, like, why does he do this? Again, you know, it's nothing amazing. I mean, it's not a great gig by any means, but it's not the train wreck that St. Paul is. So, and that's the only reason why I would put it above St. Paul and on the same, you know, ranking as Alpine Valley. Like, yes, I will agree. You know, lowish C. But again, it's just inconsistencies and just goofy shit on songs and stuff that doesn't make sense and just random stuff that, you know, it's like, what on earth? But yeah, I mean, it's got you know, one of Elton Bootlegs' favorite Candle performances. So I mean, it's got some redeeming value.
Stop mentioning that fucking song.
Okay, all right, I will stop mentioning it right now, and I will let you.
Hate versions on this tour where he doesn't know where he is. Give me the next tour when he sounds awful. I'd rather listen to them because at least he knows where he is.
I'll tell you what. I give this a low C, so I agree with TSS Killer. I'll let you go next for Kansas City. Elton Bootlegs.
And I agree with both of you. I would also give it a low C. Entertainment factor is there. I just hate the versions of Candle in the Wind where he just... the dynamics of the song are just thrown out the window. It's meant to be soft. And this isn't soft. It's... Oh. It's like he doesn't know where he is. Ugh. There are other performances that are goofy as well. I mean, TSS has mentioned Leave On. I enjoy his comment on the video saying the cocaine cold shoulder.
Yeah. Yes. That's what it is.
Benny, where he makes a noise after the final chorus that is questionable. I don't want to know how excited he was at that point. Or
yeah, it's like,
Maybe he's just let out some air and he
Now he had to get some of that fucking barbecue out of his system.
At least he's not sneezing all over the microphone.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are better shows, but there are worse shows on this tour, and I will give it a low C.
Ethan.
Kansas City. This is where you really start make effect. Like stuff like "Don't Let the Sun" had some really bad moments on it. Actually, like say massive and falling. And who wears these shoes and fucking shit and yeah. Yeah, like again, comedy factor is there, but yeah, it's a better St. Paul, and I agree with all of you in the rankings.
Let's see. Okay, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna be nice, and I'm gonna let you start Houston. Go ahead.
Okay, Houston. First show in I think about 8 days. Although I think we did shows in between this show, and we don't have recordings. Anyway, yeah, Houston. Houston, eh, fine. I think. I like Little Fridge from the show where he thinks the tears of pain ain't the tears of pain. By the way, great quality as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the show. Yeah. What are your opinions on it?
Well, where would you rank it?
Maybe I don't know. I don't know. Fucking
You don't know where you would rank it? Well,
no.
I'll make it easy for you. Is it better than Alpine Valley?
Yeah,
Is it better than Kansas City?
yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. How would you rank it compared to Detroit or Toronto?
Uh, Maybe like mid B something. Maybe mid or low B.
Okay, so we'll put it in B for now. For me, Houston. Holy shit! What a fun show to listen to. Elton sounds drunk, and it's an interesting listen because yeah, he's still goofy on songs, but the thing about it is it's an entertaining listen like some of these other lowly ranked shows. But the bands sound tighter. Like they're playing with more focus and there's a looseness about the band without being sloppy. So there is an improvement on the musical side of things compared to some of the earlier shows. Elton is, obviously intoxicated, flubbing lyrics, but there's still some good moments mixed in there. But it's again, it's not a show I would pull out and listen to or anything, but it's an improvement over some of these other ones. I'm torn between like the highest of C's or the lowest of B's for this one. I think it's kind of right on the border, right there, because while Elton is goofy and he's flubbing lyrics and doing random piano shit on songs, the bands sound quite a bit better here compared to obviously Alpine Valley, St. Paul, Kansas City. So it doesn't go quite to that level. So this show doesn't belong in D or anything. I think it's a little bit better overall compared to Alpine Valley and Kansas City. So I want to put it at like the lowest of B's. But then again, when I think about that, I'm kind of teetering. So I would like to hear some other takes here on TSS.
I would actually put this in low B as well. The reason why is, first of all, the quality is redeeming. The sound quality, you really hear all the nuances on the stage. But I still think it's a notch better than the last few shows, just because, yeah, Elton is drunk off his face. We already know that. But even besides that, you still have some excellent instrumental work by the band. I still think like some of the raw performances, like good Who Wears These Shoes is great, like freaking musically. Also like Little Refrigerator, like you really hear that the band is a lot tighter, even though it has like a little loose feeling, but it's a lot better than the crap that we heard like in a couple of gigs before. But I would still sit down and listen to this just because it has a both like goofy and entertaining factor, but musically it's great too. So I would still recommend somebody to just check this out if they just want to see. It's like the controlled chaos, like I was saying, but it has its own charm. Just to see Elton just like freaking drunkenly getting through like speeches and stuff. It's just fun to listen to. Plus his tone is fine. His tone is still perfectly fine at this point. So I would say definitely a low B for this.
Elton Bootlegs, your thoughts?
This show is interesting because this is a show where his voice, I think, is very clean and sounds quite nice. But unfortunately, you add alcohol to the mix and maybe a few other things, and it throws him slightly off kilter. But in saying that, I do enjoy this show. It'd be one of my favourite US shows. I wouldn't rank it near the top, but in terms of a listen, if you're finding a show you want to listen to, Houston would be one of them. I would also agree with a low B. The quality is superb for an audience recording. Audience recording. I also love the atmosphere. I love the crowd atmosphere as well at these Texas shows. Especially when he starts Crocodile Rock. All he's got to do is play the first note and the crowd know what it is and they go absolutely mental. And there's some of the things I do enjoy listening to on this tour. Benny's fun as well. I enjoy the improv there. It'll be a low B for me. I'm looking forward to the next show.
Yes,
all right.
Yes,
well,
so am I.
Well, I'll tell you what. You can start Dallas.
Yay!
Oh boy.
This show is just completely and utterly random. Now, Houston, if you thought Houston was a bit mad and there are a few over-the-top spots, Dallas, the man is just possessed. It's the only show for tour where we actually get the rock and roll medley, which shows that he must have been in a really good mood to begin the evening. I'd argue this is one of the funniest shows from the era of his live career as well. His mental state is just completely impaired by whatever. He's laughing throughout songs. He's giggling throughout them. Rough phrasing. Candle's just bizarre. To be fair, this does have some redeeming features, though. I mean, Who Wears His Shoes is nice. Davey adding unique touches on the guitar. He does that on a few versions. But the only unfortunate thing is that Gregsynth lied to me, and he told me we weren't getting a new recording for this, and we did. It's an upgrade, and you can hear Elton's voice, and his tone has sort of shifted a bit compared to the previous night. He sounded a lot cleaner there. This, oh dear. Day. No.
Then also forgetting the words in your song. That's great.
Oh, I forgot the words.
Forgot the words. Sometime first. Also, there's also as well Saturday Night Sort of Fight. The third chorus is really, really bizarre. But yeah, it's I do enjoy this show for a comedic listen. However, I would give this a mid-C for overall, if you had to rank it overall. It's a fun listen, and again, it would be a show that if you wanted to go to something on this tour, I would go to it, because it is just random.
I would actually say highest of C's. While there are few moments, as we mentioned, with blues and your song and some other ones where he just spaced out and a little bit of a weird tone, a little bit of a weird delivery, I would still say that this is better. These are still better gigs than what's in the C category, like for example, Kansas City. But if I had to put this as the top echelon of C, it would probably be this. It's still worth a listen because it still has wonderful quality. The band, like I said, the band, like some of the riffs some of the guitar riffs are just fantastic. Too Low for Zero sounds fantastic. Like you can really hear the instrumental on that. Yellow Brick Road. Yellow Brick Road is fun because you actually hear him sneeze.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you hear him sneeze and stuff. And the rock and roll medley again, just for that inclusion, I don't think there's going to be a higher rank of C than this. I think that's what makes it special, and I think that for the C category, this is the highest rank, and that's all I have to say.
Yeah, Dallas, it's a fun listen, very entertaining, one of the funniest shows. on this leg of the tour. It's got one of my favorite flubs in Levon where he botches lyrics in the pre-chorus.
Yeah,
And,
Papa to a Paul, and it's
yeah.
like when the New York Times say God is dead.
Yeah, it's like, oops. But, yeah, he is goofy. He's all over the place. But, it's a fun listen because the difference that I would see between something like this versus, like St. Paul and Alpine Valley and those shows would be, at least on Dallas, the bands sound really good. It's mainly Elton doing random goofy shit and, flubbing lyrics and playing random piano chords like dude,
he's playing like random. He's like playing like random Mixolydian chords. I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on? Like,
yeah. So it's like, it's not a gig that I would rank like super high, but it's not. It doesn't belong in the garbage or anything because there's still some good stuff on here. I mean, the band performances themselves are worth it. So, I mean, it's not terrible. If I were to compare Houston and Dallas, I would say Houston is a little bit more controlled, while Dallas is a little more reckless. But yeah, Dallas I would say is a high C. I mean, it's not terrible or anything. It's decent at best, but it's got the shit going on with it. But there's still some stuff on there worth checking out. And if you don't want to do that, you could just listen to it for a laugh because it's a funny gig.
Yep.
So, okay, now we move out of Texas and we go to Atlanta, Georgia. Oh boy. Yeah.
Oh, another concert where Greg said there wasn't an upgrade, and alas, there was.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. But but yeah, Atlanta is another one of those Elton is stoned, being goofy, off his face type of gigs, and actually causes I don't know how he does this. He manages to make Tiny Dancer get extended by another verse and another chorus, and forces Davey to do another solo. And I'm like, how?
It's the longest version of Tiny Dancer ever.
I don't know how
Ethan's
that happened.
favorite.
Yes.
And then you got, goofy stuff on Levon. You have a little refrigerator where they add bits to the song. Instead of taking bits out of the song, like on some gigs, they add bits to the song. And so it's like, okay. Then you have Candle, which is among the legendary 84 versions that certain people here like more than others. And it's one of these, like, stoned, like, nothing's going according to plan, really. And it's got the entertaining taper. Like, yeah, Elton, you look great, baby, and all this bullshit around it's got the entertaining taper. We also taped Atlanta '86.
Yeah, the leather jackets advert was a gem.
Yeah. So yeah, Atlanta,
later on this month. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, Atlanta. I can't say it's a great show, but it's got, like, I don't want to say it's the worst of the worst because it has good shit on it along with some really questionable stuff. So it's definitely going in the C category, but I think it's kind of right in the mid C. Like, I would put it above Kansas City.
Yeah.
Sort of a deal. So I'm going to say like a low to a mid C, just because it's not the worst of the worst, even though there's some really questionable fucking moments that make me cry. So go ahead, TSS.
Benny is just hilarious from this fucking show. I cannot like fathom some of the random goofiness on the show. It's just like I can't say that it's complete shit because yeah, I mean, hey, we get more music, we get more Elton music. It's like that's fantastic. We're getting an extended version of Tiny Dancer, extended version of Little Refrigerator. Hey, like, hey, you bought the ticket and you got your money's worth. I mean, come on. But in all seriousness, this was one of the we're gonna get into it in a couple of minutes here, but this is the last gig before Elton's vocal tone started to really hit the basement, and we're gonna go explain that why. But for this show, it's just those things where it's just like, the pot was everywhere and other God knows what substances are. Still an entertaining show to listen to, but yeah, I would still say this is still better than Kansas City. Even though it's like I said, the musically, it's like you're saying what the fuck is going on. But in terms of like the overall listening factor, it's still better than that. So yes, Msg, I agree with that. So next,
Ethan.
What do you think?
He's as stoned as Elton is. Moving on, Elton Bootlegs.
Yeah.
We'll get back to Ethan in a moment. Elton Bootlegs.
Well, when I celebrated his 73rd birthday at the start of the lockdown last year, Greg was like, TSS said, why don't you upload this show? This would be great fun to listen to. Oh, wow. And as I said, the drug and alcohol use is on full display. Oh, my word. Oh, it's just a tiny dance away. It's like, oh, let's have another verse. Let's have another chorus. The candles ending, no thank you. Philadelphia Freedom's funny because they start the song. Well, Elton counts it in French, and clearly Nigel doesn't know any French because he misses his cue. Benny just makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah, I enjoy listening to this show. It contradicts everything I just said. I would give it a mid-C. Purely because it's not at the level of Dallas. And it is the last show, as TSS points out, with the tone as it is now, because certain factors come in over the next couple of weeks.
Oh boy.
Ethan, you there?
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I'd like to.
It's like smoking a spit or spliff compared to
Smoking your own spit. Ooh, that's a new concept. Ooh, put that in a bomb.
This is the show to do it. So.
Yeah, Atlanta. Yeah, it's like, yeah, like you took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, it's a funny show. So, yeah, I think a mid-C is about perfect for it. Right.
Okay, so
let's go on to the flu-stricken shows.
All right, so what we're gonna do is, since Mr. Killer here brought it up first, why don't you eloquently explain what happens here?
Okay, so shortly after the Atlanta show, Elton comes down with a case of the flu. Now, in the first couple of on the first show here that we're going to talk about, it's not as pronounced, but as the tour goes on, you really can tell that Elton's tone is completely does like a 180 in comparison to the other ones. So with that being said, this is Pittsburgh is the first one that we really start to hear this, what we call the sick tone. And what we mean by the sick tone is on some of the sustains and on some of the growling, you hear kind of like a very sickly sounding kind of like overtone on the growling, and also on some of the notes you could hear that he's congested and other things like that. But with that being said, Pittsburgh is not too bad of a show compared to what's going to happen a little bit later on. You could definitely tell that when, he's doing some more growling, the tone is definitely going downhill. He sounds congested. But the performances here are not that bad. But I would say overall, Pittsburgh would probably be mid-C category, because even it's around the same rank as Atlanta, but the tone prevents it from getting a high C or a low B. like it's not a bad show, but you could tell that definitely Elton's health is going downhill here. So middle C for me, but it would still probably be lower than Atlanta because he's sick.
Yeah, I for Pittsburgh, again, it's one of these incomplete shows. Sorry about the quality, but it's what I have. But Pitt. The thing about Pittsburgh is, yes, this is the first show we have on recording where he's stricken with the flu, and you can hear it in his singing. Rougher tone, more growling, more sick sounding, as what was explained very well. But one thing that, while I mostly agree with what TSS Killer said, there is one element I think I can maybe push this up in the rankings slightly. I'm not going to sit here and say it's a B or anything, but one thing I will say is when Elton was stricken with the flu, and this goes for all those shows where he's clearly sick as a dog, the band seemed to gel together and they stepped their games up, and they seem to put a lot more effort into supporting Elton. They get
right.
They get their shit together.
Yeah. They help out. They help out with the harmonies and stuff, and
there's tighter playing. There's more creative playing on the Rocket Mans, and there's tighter playing and more creative playing in general. So that's one positive I will give on the flu shows is the band sound normally better, and the musicianship is generally at a higher rank compared to earlier in the tour.
Yeah.
So while I would agree with Pittsburgh being in the C category, I do think that with the step up in the musicianship, I think I can maybe push it to a C, not quite high C, but kind of teetering between the two, just because I think the playing is a little bit better. But apart from that, I would agree with that ranking of mid C. Elton Bootlegs.
Yeah, I go over mid C. This isn't of the flu gigs. It wouldn't be the one that I'd go back and listen to. And plus, another reason I won't go back and listen to it is that the picture you've used is the most terrifying thing I think I've ever seen. Elton staring into Davy's soul, and Davy looks like somebody who I don't want to mention. So we'll work. I mean, there are better shows to listen to from this era. It's not bad, but it's not great. So I'll give it a mid C.
I mean, Elton sounds surprisingly okay, despite it being a flu show. And also his mind's there, I think, so that's always a plus. As I say, band sounds good. Yeah, I'd probably give it maybe a mid to slightly high C. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, so mid to high C. Should we put because here's what we have. We have 5 gigs in the C tier right now. From highest C to low C, we have Dallas, Alpine Valley, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Kansas City. Where would this fit? Is this better than Atlanta and Alpine Valley, or where would you put this gig at?
Good question.
The thing is, it's really incomplete, which also doesn't help matters. But
I still say it's below Atlanta because Atlanta's you want to listen to that because it's goofy. Here it's he's just sick and even though the musically it's better, I still think that it's not a better show than Atlanta.
No.
Plus, we don't get extended versions of songs, so.
And even though he sounds good, he sounds okay for a flu show. It's just and as I say, his mind's kind of there. So, but yeah, it's just a meh show overall.
All right, I can agree with that. I accept that. Mid C. So we're going to be going into the New York gigs.
So we're going to go into that. Elton Bootlegs had his piece, right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So we'll go up to New York.
So TSS Killer, since
Yeah,
these
I think
shows are
TSS
quite
should
important
start.
to you, I'll let you lead it off.
Yeah. So the first show that we have here at Madison Square Garden, train wreck. If I had to say, it's a train wreck. Elton here, it sounds really, really sick, especially towards the latter half of the gig. At least he tries his best. At least I'll give Elton credit where credit is due. Whenever he plays at Madison Square Garden, at least he's not on the fucking drugs too much. I give him that credit. The problem here is that out of all the New York shows, in my opinion, this one is the worst. Because he's very unstable with the vocals because the tone is just so sick sounding. He misses notes. Like Rocket Man has some off B flat fours. Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, he cracks on a C5. And he doesn't even he starts the third chorus with the wrong lyrics. It's a really bad show. For that case, I would actually put this at the highest of D's. Like, I would not want to listen to this show. I'm sorry. It's not. I would not put this one there at all. The next show is actually a much better improvement than this.
A New York gig from the Prime Live being put at D. I don't know whether to laugh or cry, but it is what it is. But please continue.
No, but that's what I have to say. Out of the 4 New York shows here, this one is the worst. Like I don't like on this specific night, the tone is just I can't do I really can't see it. I mean, like I said, it just sounds so off. There's like really off moments in songs that are not pleasing to listen to. The band is in good shape, but I cannot muster to just listen to Elton's tone. Like it's just so sick sounding. I can't.
Okay.
I gotta shed a tear. Go ahead, Ethan. Go ahead.
Well, I don't think that it's the worst, but I agree it's pretty low down. Yeah, as I say, Elton sounds really like rough and bad. Although One More Hour is a really good version. Like it's a Euro version really, but apart from that, yeah, it's a really rough show, and you're basically getting like the Reg phrasing on some songs. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Why is
Okay.
Greg laughing like a Frenchman? Wrong
Anyway,
country.
yeah. Anyway, I don't think it's the worst MSG show, but I agree it's pretty loud. So I'll give it. I'll give it a yeah.
Go ahead, Elton Bootlegs.
The quality and the band, the strong points of this, and the audience. The audience are very enthusiastic. It's MSG. However, the lead singer's voice is not in great shape. The growling is just a bit too much. It's not his fault. I can't blame him for it. But unfortunately, yeah, I agree with the high D. Although, if you really, really wanted to, you could say that One More Arrow could push it into a low C. Although I do have a theory about that version. I wonder if somebody recorded a European show and just thought, I know, let's stick this on there. And then Greg can be like, what the fuck is this? But yeah, there are some of the later MSG shows are better. I'd say this is the weakest. Did you just make a noise that was questionable then?
No, I was clearing my throat. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
you did.
But,
you did.
But okay, so we go to the flu gigs from MSG. I really don't know what to think. Because, yes, Elton sounds very sick. He's very tired. Missing notes. Intonation's off. Yes, there's a lot to fault on it. I do give him credit that he's on that stage. Because I'll tell you this, any lesser person would have canceled the show. But he went up there and performed. So I do give him a lot of respect. But yeah, the band are great. That being said, however, part of me wants to agree that this is the weakest of the four New Yorks. Because while the other two infamous ones with the flu voice have some infamous moments, bad versions and bad singing, something about this one is like, there's something really off-putting about it compared to the two other flu-stricken ones.
I think it might have been maybe there was some phlegm, like some really bad phlegm and bronchitis thing going on. I think that's probably the reason why, because you could hear that it's like really bad. It's not like he had like maybe nasal inflammation combined with like some bronchitis.
I'm not surprised he had nasal inflammation with the amount of white powder going up his nose.
That probably helped out the gig, but the thing about but the thing about it is, if I compare the three flu-stricken MSG shows,
Sorry about
are we okay?
that. Yeah, it's just with these MSG shots, I had an urge to hang on my microphone.
Yeah, it's like mic drop. Fuck this, but still, the three MSG shows that have the flu vocals. They're all unpleasant to listen to on the vocal side of things in their own way. Like, the second one to me has a lot more of the grinding and that growly tone that is reminiscent of a Sick Reg tour show.
Yeah.
The other one, 1026, that one still has the roughness, but he sounds much more drained and weary sounding, like a flat tone. This
Plus he
one
faints on that show, which is interesting,
Yeah,
which we'll
like
get
I
into in a minute, yeah.
Yeah, and then this one's like, not only is the tone really weary, but he's just like not making notes, missing there's like no strength in the voice to hit notes really. He's like just barely making it through. And so it's like, to me it's like, I want to say it is the worst MSG show we have, but I'm torn whether to agree with high D or low C. That's the thing, because I think if it weren't for, like One More Arrow and then maybe some of the effort on some other songs and maybe the good band, I would have thrown this into D. Like, without any sort of hesitation.
Well, let's take a vote on it. TSS, what do you think?
I know he thinks high D.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
take
I
high. I'm keeping my stance for high D. It's just like one of those things where I just don't want to listen to this fucking gig.
That's
Even though it has
fine.
one good song doesn't save the gig. I'm sorry.
Ethan, what's your verdict?
A D.
And my verdict's a high D. You know what that means, Greg?
Well,
You lose. Let's move on.
Wait, what the fuck? I didn't even get a chance to finish explaining the goddamn
Three. Oh dear.
Oh no.
There he goes.
He's got COVID.
I set him off.
Oh,
So, we've got three people agreeing that it should be in the D category, and then there's Greg, who's got control of this thing. Oh no.
look, I wasn't necessarily disagreeing. I think it is the worst of the MSGs. I was trying to give maybe a brownie point or two to Elton, but still.
Alton?
Alton Brown.
Alton Towers, right? No.
Look, enough with Elton Towers. Look, the thing is,
Alton Towers.
That's it. I'm quitting while I'm ahead. Hi, D. I agree. Fuck y'all. Let's move on to the next.
Fucking hell.
Someone take over the second MSG, please.
Let Elton Bootlegs do this one.
1024. Oh my word! If we thought 1023 was fun, this show is also fun. Oh, did I just cut out then?
No,
No.
you're fine.
No.
Oh, that's okay. Mumble's being a bit weird. Anyway, 1024. 1023, if we thought that was fun. This has some... Oh, God. This has stuff that rivals its badness. I mean, Leave On. Oh, no. A little refrigerator. Ugh. Oh, little refrigerator, you're so cold. No. To
Who
give
wears
him
these
credit...
shoes?
Oh, who has... Oh, darling. To give him credit, his voice does improve as the show goes on, which sounds weird to say. I mean, some of the songs near the end of the show I really enjoy, like Yellow Brick Road is a good version.
Mm-hmm.
And Crocodile Rock is surprisingly nice.
Yeah.
But again, it's one of them where the atmosphere of the crowd is excellent.
Yeah.
The band are great. They help out Elton. I would give this show a low C.
Yes.
Like, there's just something a bit more punch here than there was on the previous night. Unfortunately, One More Arrow isn't as good as the first night, but I would prefer listening to this and 1026 as well. Imagine 1025.
Well, we'll get into that in a moment. So, it's the second show. Even though yes, you could still hear that he's sick, and yeah, there's some moments where it might sound more rough. At least overall, it doesn't have as much of the inflamed tone that made 1023 like unlistenable for me. Like there's some real and surprisingly, he hit some pretty clean upper fourth notes and like Benny and stuff, and it's like, yeah, of course we're gonna have like and Restless is okay too, but yeah, the first few songs are definitely rough. I would say up until about just before Candle, like after Restless, at least the voice starts to clear up just a little bit. And as everybody says here, you know, after I'm Still Standing, after one, I would say after Kiss the Bride, it starts to get a little bit better than that. So, yeah, One More Arrow again, not as good as the first night, but it's still passable. It's still a decent effort. At least he can still have the softer tone while being sick. But again, in the Yellow Brick Road, he hits more of the C5s on top. But yeah, this is definitely a low C show. I don't think it's going to be the lowest of C's. I think that belongs to the following show. But overall, like I said, I don't mind this, and I believe it's probably the same taper that taped like some of the MSG 86 shows. So it's really excellent quality. This and the next one, I'd say this one is probably better in terms of fidelity. Although in Little Refrigerator, we have some lyrics flubbing. It's like, yeah, tears of pain.
Yeah.
So, but overall, like I said, low C. But it's still worth a listen because of the crowd. I think the MSG crowds, they really energize the show, and they really give Elton a reason to soldier on. And the band is great too, as well. So
Yeah.
Ethan. Is that you describing yourself
Yes.
there, TSS, with the shows you went to?
Hey, at least you didn't have a guy. At least you didn't have the fucking. At least this is not the show with the MSG lady. We're not going to get into that.
MSG
I love
lady.
Elton John so much. Right.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. Anyway, second MSG. I would say this is the best MSG show of the October run. Not gonna lie. Elton sounds. He sounds okay. Like you can still tell he's sick and stuff. But yeah, he generally warms up throughout the show, and the band sound good. And you know, credit where it's due. These shows where he's sick, at least his mind's there.
Yes.
So yeah, I'd give it a high C. Definitely.
Oh, the
Oh,
nothing.
oh,
The second MSG show. There's a couple of people I have to thank. One, I'd like to thank the taper for the amazing audio quality. Thank you to Elton Stuff for hooking me up with this so I can get sick listening to it. And also, this show, it belongs in C. I agree with that. But I really think, despite the rough vocals and the sick tone, the effort is there, and he's trying. You can tell he's trying.
Yeah.
He's trying. His mind is mostly intact, and the band sound amazing. I think this is probably some of the best playing that they've done in the later part of the tour is on this show and also on the next night. I agree it's in the C ranking, but I want to make a case for it to push it up towards the higher end of C, just because of the effort.
Yeah.
Being just on displayed, and I can find some legitimately decent vocals on this, unlike the first night.
So, would you put it then above Alpine Valley, for example?
yeah.
I would, because at least the band are good, and Elton's
All right, so then that's a high C then.
Yep.
Yeah, I would put second MSG at high C, because I mean he's trying. And,
Yeah, absolutely, I agree with that.
And there's some great musicianship, so I can't discount everything on stage just because Elton caught the flu, but there's some good stuff on there despite him being sick. Now, the the next night is
Well, first of all, we have to explain the next night because.
Oh yes, yeah.
So,
Yes.
so 10:25 was supposed to be a show, but unfortunately, when Elton was on like a DJ radio show for MTV, he was on there and he was like really, really sick. Like you could tell that he was completely out of it. And then after he did the DJ stuff, he went to his hotel room and literally slept and no-showed the show because he was that sick. So that show would be delayed until November, but we will get to that later. So,
Yes.
so that night was postponed, and the next night that we have is 10:26. The following day. So with that being said, at least this recording is more complete. But Elton does really sound sick. I would say out of the run, this is probably the second worst. Just because it sounds more rough. The band is there, at least his mind is there, but like I said, the tone not as while not as bad as 1023's, it still does not sound appealing. But at least there's some golden moments, like for example during the band introduction where Fred Mendel says, "He's sick, Elton's sick." That was a great thing. But it's like, and also Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, where he comes out dressing like Tina Turner, and actually hitting the C5s on top, which is actually fucking amazing considering that the man is sick. And considering that version of Goodbye Yellow Brick Road is actually better than the last Sydney night, and that's saying something, and that's when he wasn't fucking sick. That I think is like redeeming qualities. Also, Benny is fun. Philadelphia Freedom is fun. So in that case, it would actually rank. But it's still not. But overall, actually, it's not as good as the other show. But I would still rank it just behind it. I still think it's better than Alpine Valley because again, the effort and just the musicianship, and like I said, the nods and the funny stuff on stage. I think it deserves the high C, but it'd be below the 1024 on this one.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And yeah, this is the show that he nearly passes out after Restless.
Yeah.
Because what happened was he plays Restless, gets to the performance, and he he gets off the piano bench. He goes over to the side stage and takes a knee to catch his breath, and he fails to stand. So he's on the brink of collapse. So people come on out and they revive him with oxygen for about 45 seconds or so, and you can hear on the tape the crowd's cheering when he's revived, and he gets right back to it and continues with the show. So, I mean, credit where credit's due. He soldiers on. So yeah, the third MSG show. Yeah, I would say it's a slightly worse show overall compared to the second MSG, but it still has some redeeming qualities, like surprisingly good performances towards the end. The Tina Turner entertainment. The fact that he's out there trying his best is also worth noting, because I would rather have him not in top form but clearly trying rather than just him going through the motions, looking at his watch and all that bullshit. But that's for a whole other story.
Yes.
But yeah, so the effort's there. The tone is very drained, weary, and sick. But there are some gems on there. It's not unlistenable. It's a decent gig overall, considering his health, and the band sound great. So I agree, high C. Just a little bit below the second night. So who would like to go next?
Well,
I feel like my record, honey.
well, I mean, like,
I flew all the way from Australia for this.
Well, I mean, like, what else can you say, really? You guys just basically said it all, really. At least he's out there trying and not going through the motions, so yeah. There's not much else you can say, is there, really?
Yeah, plus, the wig and the high heels help him out on Goodbye Old Brick Road.
Yeah, that's why he hits the top notes.
Yeah, because he's got the high heels and the wig.
See the little Elton with me. With
Oh,
the wig and...
All right. you little mother. Okay,
Oh, yes.
Elton Bootlegs, you have anything to add to this?
I really, really, really enjoyed the version of Yellow Brick Road from this gig. Especially because he's laughing away at the fact that he's walked out on stage in them high heels, and he's probably not been able to walk in them properly. I know he walked in platform shoes in the 70s, but this would be a whole different kettle of fish. And I like the fact there's somebody who's commented on your video saying that they thought it was Tina Turner walking out on stage as soon as he came out. It's like... But I do enjoy the fact that... I think a few people... I remember him saying that he told the story about this in '86, where he said about, I didn't tell anyone. But yeah, he must have told someone, because the band start playing Tina Turner as he walks out. Like, so surprise! Oh wait, who is that? Oh, it's Elton. But yeah, there are some really nice performances on this gig, even though his voice, especially early on, I can give him credit for coming back on after being revived with oxygen as well. At least he isn't growling as much toward midpoint of the set. I mean, Who Has Issues isn't as potent as it would be on 1024. And
later on,
yeah. But I think the highlight, if there's a must listen, it would be Yellow Brick Road, and probably Crocodile Rock as well, because you can hear the Tina Turner, like, oh yeah. And Fred Mandel and the band, he's sick. I mean, that could have a double meaning as well. He might be on about his health, but he could be talking about his mind as well. So,
what's Reg got to do with it? So basically, we're all at the the high C plus ranking for this.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Philadelphia,
I'll take over this one.
Sure.
I got to get out of the damn flu stuff now.
good.
Okay, so Philadelphia. This show was always, I want to say, it was always liked, way back then. Before we got all these recordings and new sources. So it was always, praised quite a bit from what I remember. And then hearing this better version with not as much cuts and noise and stuff is always good. I think Philadelphia is a massive improvement over the MSG shows in terms of the vocals. They're much less rough.
Yeah.
Still not quite 100%, but it's better. The band still maintained that edge that they have at the MSGs, which is good. And Elton does tire a little bit about halfway through, and he starts to sound a little more tired and rough halfway through the set. But it's not too bad. I mean, he's still recovering from the flu, so I'll cut him a little bit of slack. There's some really good performances and some shocking moments, like, clean notes and, going for I'm Still Standing B flats at the end.
Yeah, first time that we have on that.
Yeah. And Tiny Dancer's a relief, since it's not as rough sounding as the last handful of versions.
Tiny Dancer, you're getting towards a Euro version, which is why when you hear the MSG stuff 2 days before, you hear this and you're like, this is a different singer, or it's a completely different time period. It's only 2 days. It makes no sense.
Yeah, and then Levon is very respectable, and Elton sounds with it. And
Little Refrigerator is great.
Yeah, Little Refrigerator is one of the best. So it's
Who Wears These Shoes is fun.
Yeah, and then Benny has some great moments on there. And
forget Philadelphia Freedom as well. In Philadelphia.
Great Philadelphia Freedom with the atmosphere being amazing.
Yeah.
At least it's better than the versions 2 years and 4 years later.
Oh, yeah.
Why did he play the song twice on the...
Because, a couple reasons. Because he's in Philadelphia, and they deserve it. So, there's that.
Well, I think because he fucked it up. It's because he fucked it up the first time, so we'll play it again.
Well, I wasn't going to mention that, but going back to this gig,
yeah.
I really think this is truly a great show.
Yes.
Massive improvement. It's think about it, it's like the best he's sounded since August, maybe, or close to it. But
yeah, probably I would say the best he's sounded since early September.
Yeah, and the band sung great, and I don't think it's quite up to the level of, say, like San Francisco, but I really think this is a really respectable show. I would say like high B, like a B plus.
Yeah.
Sort of
What's
show.
So Greg, what do we have in the B category right now?
We have from best B to worst B. We have Tucson, Tempe, Toronto, Detroit, Houston.
I would actually put it above Toronto.
Okay, put Philadelphia above
Toronto.
And below Tucson and Tempe.
I'm a bit more positive about this.
Go on.
You want to make it better? You want to make it to top B then?
Yeah.
Actually,
because I prefer this show to the first two.
That's true.
If I were feeling very generous, I put this at a very low A, because it is such a surprising listen. I mean, we always liked it, but then when you actually hear it in context of other shows, you think, "Wow."
Greg, what do we have in the A category?
We only have San Francisco.
Then it'll be below San Francisco.
Yay!
Yes.
So it went up 2 fucking notches in a minute.
No, because I had to think about it for just a second. I'm thinking to myself, okay, because we don't see the tier list right now. We're just playing.
Greg does.
Greg does.
And he still loses.
So that's why I wanted to hear what was in the specific tiers. But this one, because I would actually put it above that, because because you have 2 separate factors here. Elton's voice sounds fine. I mean, does it sound as good as it did probably in August? No. But the musicianship and the tight band and also the crowd just makes the energy rise above that. And plus, like I said, he's more consistent on the show. This is his most consistent show since I would say Tacoma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Unless you count like St. Paul, where he's consistent throughout, but it's not
consistently
the right
bad.
reasons.
Yeah. Yeah, consistently bad, but I'm saying consistently good. But I just want to make a few comments on here as well. So for Philadelphia, great. I mean, this is like once again we're talking about 180s. This is a complete 180 from the last MSG show. You know, it's quite funny that you hear now all the congestion is gone and all of the and the sick tone just freaking goes away. Some reason.
Right.
It's just a great rendition. He sings a lot of the songs with a lot of passion. Like I said, the B flat 4 and I'm Still Standing is definitely a highlight. He hits it very clean and on top too, which is great. Kiss the Bride is fantastic. Yellow Brick Road is great. Like I said, it's if there's one late show that I would recommend people listen to, it's definitely this one. If you want a consistent show on the U.S. tour, I would say Tacoma and this for sure. So an A just below San Francisco.
Yes.
Yay!
You win.
I did.
Yeah.
I mean that's why we're here. We have to make a consensus.
Yeah,
I'm in total fucking shock. Go ahead, Ethan.
But it's like, what a difference 2 days makes, right? Fucking, yeah. It's like you hear Tiny Dad, like, what the fuck happened? How did you get so good all of a
I
sudden?
had to. When I went back to listen to this in the news source, I was like, I remember this sounding good. And I was like, this sounds better than what I remember it. I think he has like 2 or 3 rough spots with the vocals, and that's it. Where others, there's like 2 or 3 spots in the verse. Like, ugh. If not more. Yeah, if you told me that the first, if Tiny Dancer, if you said that's a Euro version, I'd have been like, yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. But then he goes into lead on, then you know you're in America, so. Oh, good evening, Philly. You're like, right, nope. Unless it's a nickname for a place.
but yeah, I'd rank it the same as Elton Bootlegs. Yeah.
I can't believe this shit. It's like I'm gonna put it at high B. I don't think it's quite up to San Francisco. What do we have at high B? Oh, here's these shows. What do we have at A? San Francisco. Put it below San Francisco. What the fuck?
Well, you know what that means, Greg.
I lose double.
You do. That's great. We all want to hear that.
Yes.
And to think it was you that made me put it up to A.
Yeah, it was me.
Yes, it was you. See the little.
See the little.
All right.
Oh,
okay, so here's the thing. I accept that. I accept the fact that it's a low A, but I do really like the show. So
Montreal.
It's not. Have we all talked enough about Philly?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's go Montreal.
Okay, I'll let you start then.
Okay, Montreal. Again, it's like virtually the same thing. You can all the flu and sick is not really there anymore, and he's back to being kind of consistent on songs, and yeah, it's like I'd put this in a sort of mid to high B because it's quite a good show overall, and the band sound good.
For me, Montreal is a fun one because again, it's one of those, somewhat incomplete, recordings that I wish was complete, but at least the quality's respectable. But I gotta say, Elton sounds fine. He's pretty good overall, but holy shit, the stars of that show are Dee and Nigel. They I don't know what happened before the show or whatever, but they start they turn up the heat on their instruments. They play they add embellishments to songs. They play with a lot of fire, and they were trying to outperform Davey and Elton on the songs, and they were trying to push each other to new heights. It almost sounded like I was listening to a show with from 1970 or 71 with some of
Yeah.
some of the playing they were doing. So it's like, I don't know what happened, but they were like, hey, let's play the absolute best we can and add things to songs, and like this is one of D's best gigs on the whole tour.
Agreed.
And it's like fucking hell. I mean, I don't know where I would put this because it's incomplete, but it's like, if it was complete or complete enough, I would find a reason to nudge it to A just because of the musicianship alone. But with it incomplete, I'll stick it at high B and wait for everyone else to make a decision.
I will say this belongs at the top of the B.
All right.
This belongs at top B because it's musically it is far superior than the first two shows on the tour. And like I said, the voice is pretty clean. Like I said, I cannot fault Elton for the voice. You know, he still has like the kind of like the American tone on his voice, but like I said, the vocal performances are great for what we have. Dee and Nigel are on another planet. They're completely like in sync, and they're doing like really fantastic like little motifs here and there, and it's just high energy. You just see Canadian crowds are just like they're all into it. They're just completely like elate, you know. And I'd say that out of this stretch of shows, definitely this one deserves to be in the top B ranking above Tucson and Tempe.
And also, One More Hour is very good from this show as well.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's that good considering where it is in the tour.
Where it is in the tour,
Yeah.
right? It's you didn't expect that, but that's what it is.
Yeah, it's like whatever happened before the show, it worked because Elton sounds quite good. There's an excellent One More Arrow, and Dee and Nigel are just like one of their best gigs on this tour. And
Elton Bootlegs.
Elton Bootlegs.
I'd give it a high B. It's not as good as Philly because there are moments where the
Yeah,
main
that's why Philly's an A.
Yeah, I know. It's not as good as Philly. I'm just saying why it's not as good as Philly. Elton's a bit more. He makes a few more mistakes rather than he does at Philly. I mean, there are a few where he flubs piano, he flub lyrics, but this is an improvement on Tempe and Tucson anyway. So that's why I would put it in a high B. I think it's similar to say with the next show in Quebec, as a friend of mine says it.
All right, go ahead. Start Quebec City, Mr. Elton Bootlegs.
Well, Quebec it's sort of like the B side to Montreal. Really, it's incomplete, but what we have is very nice. And we sort of get the opposite effect here, whereas we had Dee and Nigel having a terrific show in Montreal. Elton and Davey sort of had a word backstage and gone, well, we need to outplay these bastards. So we'll go out stage and do it. And then Fred Mandel, apparently on the next gig, he decided, right, I'm going to fuck you all off, and I'm going to play the best I've ever played. Disclaimer, that's not really true. But you can imagine that happening. I think the show is as good as Montreal, but it's difficult to say which one would be better for me. I will give it a high B, but I couldn't go one's better than the other because again, this is incomplete as well.
I would put it actually side by side, but I would put Quebec City just on the other side. It's still better than Tempe or Tucson by far.
Yeah.
But for me, Montreal's just slightly better. But they're still, but as Elton Bootlegs said, it's like a B side. Fantastic vocal performances by Elton. Again, it's virtually like Montreal. So it's Montreal Part 2. I mean, it's not that far away either. It's same Providence. But again, you really can hear that now it's Elton's time to shine on the piano, as opposed to probably as Elton Bootlegs joked, it's like, well, Dee and Nigel had their spot. Now it's time for me to have my spot. But also, the crowd is so into it. You hear like the clapping on Benny, and it's like all on time, and it's like just a great crowd. It's like you're almost in a French crowd, right? In the French.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. You think that Canadian French people and continental French people, they have more in common than you think. They know how to clap on time, unlike people here. But yeah, I would say definitely Quebec City is not what you would you would definitely want to listen to this one. Both of the shows, Montreal and Quebec City, you definitely want to listen to it. It's a fantastic show. Like I said, in the ranking, we're gonna put this right next to Montreal. It's gonna be below Montreal, but it's gonna be right next to it. But it's still better than Tempe and Tucson by far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Quebec City, exactly how you guys described it. It's the flip side of Montreal. This is Elton and Dee's night at the office. Elton and Davey, I should say, with Dee and Nigel being very, very good. But, Davey and Elton, they step up their game this time. And some of Davey's playing is some of the best you'll hear on this leg of the tour. And, man, Elton just fucking nails Little Refrigerator. Like, there's none of that.
It's fucking crazy stuff.
None of that bullshit with the excessive growl. It's sung almost like he would sing it in August. And, like, he knows the words. And it's like, why couldn't it sound like this all the time? But whatever. But still, it's a great show. I wish these two Canadian shows were complete. Because what we have is terrific, and who knows if they were complete and they sounded like the songs we have, these could potentially be up in the A tier.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm happy with both these shows in the sense that what we got. I agree, high B. Personally, I can't really decide. So, like, what I would prefer because they're equal opposites, but it's like,
yeah.
But yeah, they're both high B, tied for me pretty much. But for the Tiermaker, I have them both above Tucson.
Yes,
obviously, because at least they're consistent on these gigs. I mean, there's no fucking goofy shit going on really.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, these two Canadian gigs lead the Bs. So yeah, absolutely. Anything else about Quebec City?
I think we're good.
Yeah, I think everybody's said what they needed to.
All right. So I'll start first. Worcester.
11-3.
Yep. 11-3. Don't dream it's over. This gig is, kind of a special one because for a long, long time we had a generally really good sounding source, but it had, lossy noise on it and it was missing some songs. And you could find this on random compilations out there.
Yeah, I think there was like 15 songs, if I remember.
Yeah, and some of them are less, like 10 and 13. And it was called like Live USA 1984. So it was one of the names of those.
Some of them, I think, was actually 86, which they had it wrong.
Yeah, but the version we have here has the most songs, because I know some versions of the show would not have Levon or Benny on them.
Yeah.
But this has all of the known songs, or the most complete version. Now, the quality is absolutely amazing. Comes from a broadcast. This was
it's probably from the King Biscuit Flower Hour where they usually record 2 shows, because this was the case in '88 as well, and '82.
Yeah, this was the West. I think it was called like the
Westwood One. Yeah,
Westwood One Superstars in Concert or something like that.
Yeah.
So this first night was like sort of the test game
show
for the next night, which was a mistake in my opinion. But but we'll get to that. But this first Worcester gig,
it's really good.
Cocaine tempos galore. It's so like crazy reckless on this gig. Elton overdriving and recklessly singing. The quality's so good. You can hear like all the bits of rasp on his damn vocal cords.
Yeah.
There's high energy. The playing sounds great. Shame it's incomplete, but it is what it is. Wall's pork sausages galore. And just, it's a lot of high energy despite a voice that's kind of has a lot of wear and tear on it. But, but you know, he still sounds pretty decent considering. For me, it's going to go into B, but I'm going to put it below the Canadian gigs and above Tucson. So it's going to be kind of in that, you know, high-ish
middle of the road,
B,
yeah.
high-ish
Middle
B.
of the road, yeah.
And that's my take on it. Go ahead, TSS Killer.
Totally agree with Greg here. Actually, this was one of the first shows that we listened to.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
It's a special show.
It's definitely special. It's definitely special to us, and all considering, Elton is in fantastic shape. Although, this at the time, this is one of the first times that we heard him dodge one of the B4s in Benny, but that's not the first time he did it. We actually found out later on. I think he dodged one of them in Kansas City, if I remember. It's probably some of the ones showing like September or something. I pointed it out. But aside from that, the performances are great. Like I said, his tone is just a slight downgrade from the Canadian shows, but it is really high energy, really fucking fast. Like Goodbye Yellow Brick Road is fucking fast. Like,
this is
man,
Bird Brain over there.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, and then like I said, with the Benny performance, Levon sounds great. Although, Levon sounds great because he actually remembers the words. But yeah, definitely belongs in the B tier. But I would still say it's still a notch below the Canadian shows. So, but I would still rank it way above. I would still rank it. It's a much better show than Tucson Tucson and Tempe. See, T alliteration.
TT.
TT.
Yeah.
Where the man shakes his fist at the sky.
Yeah.
All right, T's. Also for the Worcester gig, I have to add this. Who Wears These Shoes is excellent at this gig with Mandel's playing high in the mix and
Elton over-singing it,
but he makes it sound good despite the wear and tear. And it's like, yes, the tempos are fucking fast and he's reckless, but he like somehow makes it work. I don't know how, but I get a good vibe about the first Worcester show, despite being chaotic at times. But I can listen to that and not cringe. Elton Bootlegs.
One of the first ever Elton performances I ever heard came from this show was Saturday Night's Right for Fighting. And the tempo of the version I heard wasn't exactly correct. It was running too fast. Now, you hear it as it is now, it is flying. So you can imagine how it sounded with it not sounding correct. It sounded like 200 miles an hour. Oh my god. It's flying. This gig it's one that you want to say that you have a guilty pleasure for, but you can't really because it's excellent. It'd be one of mine, TSS's, Greg's favourites because it is one of the first shows that we listened to. So it's one of them shows that you sort of hold on to and have that real passion for, and it's so much better than the other two gigs anyway. Oh, why couldn't this have been the full recorded one in this quality? It also reminds me, you mentioned the 88 shows, it reminds me of the 86 shows at LA. They recorded two in two different ways, and yeah, well, I'm glad they recorded them. But this one, Jesus, I mean, I wish the first night had been featured. I would give it a high B, above the two T shows. T. But there are some top performances. I mean, Saturday, Yellow Brick Road's hilarious. Good, and Crocodile Rock is, oh my god, it's so fast.
Can't keep up with it.
You're trying to keep up. You even I can't keep up. Like, oh. Yeah, I'll give that a high B, and let's move on to the next song. For those that are listening to the outtakes, you'll understand why.
What about Sir Ethan?
Hello.
That's what I mean. Let's move on from me. That's what I meant. You frigging donut.
Sorry.
Gregson.
I don't microwave salad. Go ahead.
Anyway, this show's great. like the 82 tempos make a return for one night only. Elton sounds pretty good. Who Has His Shoes is possibly the best live version we have on tape.
Yeah.
And and sound good. He sounds good. Dee's bass is high in the mix, which is nice. Fred Mandel sounds amazing on this show. Yeah, it's just a really good show. Yeah, high B along with above Tempe and Tucson.
Yep.
All right, so my question for all of you is, who would like to step outside the eye of the hurricane and tackle second Worcester first?
Oh my
Greg,
god.
you can do it.
Go on then,
Oh,
I'll
me?
do it.
Elton Bootlegs, whoever.
I'll give it a
All
crack.
right.
Okay.
Well, just like the first show, this was one of the first shows we ever listened to for Elton. And we remarked at the time when we first heard it was that it's not as good as the first night. Elton sounds slightly rougher. But then we get the new source and you hear it a bit more and you get more familiar with it. Oh my god. What can I say? The first night, anything that was good on the first night, well, that goes into the basement. Like Tiny Dancers. Oh, no thank you. Rocket Man. Ugh. Leave on. At least he's able to hit the high notes. Apart from the fact he's giggling during the first verse. Who Wears These Shoes is a complete 180 from the first show, singing wise. Darling. Benny. Oh my god, Benny. Oh, after the third chorus. Benny and the Jets.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. In Little Refrigerator, he actually hits a closed vowel on the first chorus.
That is unbelievable. Like, it makes no sense. One More Arrow is the worst version.
Yes.
Oh,
There's
dear.
also the second to last version
When
as well.
yeah, at least the next night's better. But then you get near the end of the gig, and Yellow Brick Road is just hideous.
I can't even do it.
He goes on the Yellow Brick Road. No.
Beyond the Yellow Brick Road.
Yeah, unfortunately, if we thought the first Buster was a high B, this is not going anywhere near that. I would give this... There are redeemable moments, but I'm afraid, for me, this goes into the D section.
Greg, what do we have currently in the D tier rank category?
Well, the two gigs we have, the higher D is First New York, and then the other one is St. Paul.
It fits between both of them. It fits in between both of them.
Yeah.
I go with that. Because at least at the first MSG, A, he's more there, and B, he's not growling as much.
Yeah, even though I'd say the tone is worse at the First New York. At least he's actually able to sing One More Arrow.
True. I can't disagree.
And fucking Yellow Brick Road, yeah, like here he came fucking singing. It's like I can't. I don't even want to think about it. Crosby, Stills, and Nash, right?
Oh, yeah. It's like about this fucking Worcester show. To me, I don't know. Maybe it's for sentimental reasons, because I think this was the very first American 84 thing that I got. So it's like I got some sort of a special attraction to that's the wrong word. Sorry, special.
Special attraction.
No.
Got attracted to this show.
No. Wrong word.
This is Greg Barnes. He is attracted to bootleg recordings.
Audience
Here's
recording.
him with a show from 1984. Greg, put it down. No, Greg. No.
Oh, it spins like a record. No. The thing about this gig is it's a show that there's sort of a sentimental bond with it, even though I know it's not that good. So, when I was when I heard that you would put it in D, I was like, my anger was released in the form of a moan. But the thing is, the I don't know. It's like, because when I went into this, I was gonna put it somewhere in the C tier because at least the band are rock solid, and you can hear Davey and Fred's playing just amazing at this show. Like the twin guitar songs, like Little Refrigerator and Bitches Back, and Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting. Those songs. They're shut up. The playing's great.
Yeah, but the biggest, like I said, the biggest blemish on this is the fact that just Elton doesn't do it. I mean, it's just, for me.
I agree. I agree. He's not in good form. I get it. I understand. I know he's not in good form. And yes, I'm well aware that there are some versions on the show that are some of the worst versions. Like, I'd argue that One More Arrow is among the worst, at least the worst vocally, because voice giving out and all that bullshit. And then Goodbye Yellow Brick Road is arguably the worst version from the Prime Live. And then some of the other performances, like Sorry Seems, where his voice gives out. I get it. He doesn't sound that good. Tone's in the basement. He's hoarse. He's not in good form. I get it. His voice is blown, and it gets worse as the gig goes on, which doesn't help. But it's like, is it really that bad to put it at D, just because of Elton, or is it? Because I was thinking I'd put it definitely on low end of C, but now that you're bringing up D, it's like.
But in terms of like consistency, his voice stays at the same level. It's not as if like it improved.
I agree.
It's not like 1023 where you have shining moments, and unfortunately it has to go under that. So do you know what that means, Greg? You lose.
Oh my god, I am sick of this shit.
Greg loses on a regular basis.
Come on. I'm trying to make some valid points here, and
you are, but we're looking at it from every single angle. And the thing is, though, I would argue
we're looking at the big picture, no pun intended.
Will you shut up?
The big picture.
Come on.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna have a lot of fun on that one. But
hey, Greg, how do you spell the word picture?
Yeah, Greg. How do you PITH?
PIAN.
Pain. Piss off. Go on.
All right, but
he's rattled. He's rattled.
Look. All right.
Everybody knows the rattle.
All right. Okay. Fine. I get it. I understand why people are ranking it in D, but I'm trying to save it from being bottom of the barrel here.
but here's the thing. At least it's not E. At least there is like some redeeming factors. But I would still say, as I said before, one or two songs can't save a gig, and in this case, one or two songs can't save a gig. So it's realistically no. It's technically a worse show than the first MSG.
Oh, have we all gone for this?
Oh, I haven't.
All right. Before I completely lose my mind here, because I got my ranking on hold for a moment while I ponder some things. So, go ahead, speak your piece. I will keep quiet.
Okay, so the second worst. This show is just bad all around. Like rough voice. Again, at least the bands sound good. At least the quality is very nice as well to listen to. But yeah, Elton just sounds bad. Like the worst version of One More Arrow. I Feel the Air at 1 minute and 25 seconds. Greg, that one's for you.
Damn it.
Yeah. The sun didn't rise on that day.
Yeah, I'm feeling a D. I'm not gonna lie on this show.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll say my piece as well because I've made remarks about it, but I didn't really say my piece. Yeah, this is one of the first shows that we got, and the thing is though, there is a difference between 10 years ago when we first got this gig and now, because of course now when you get more gigs to kind of paint a picture of an entire tour, your opinions do change. First, I thought it was okay. There were some redeeming qualities, the whole closed valve on "You're So Cold" and little refrigerator, the fun stuff on Benny, and stuff like that. But if you look at it compared about around every other gig that we have on this tour, and we have amassed a lot of stuff, admittedly in the last 5 years. Even though the quality is fantastic, people have also said that 9/14/86 is fantastic in terms of quality. You know how that fucking show is. So it's like, it's like
And we have an upgrade to that show, by the way, as well.
exactly, and that's what I'm not fucking looking forward to. But the whole point is when you now when you have the gig to paint a picture for the entire tour, your opinions change, and mine did. And now that I've heard all of these gigs, yes, it's just some of these performances you just throw them out in the garbage because I would take the first MSG over this, even though the first MSG is even less fucking pleasing to listen to because the tone there is even worse. But here, it's just like missing notes, stop singing. It's not good. I'm sorry. Even though it may have a sentimental value for like Greg, doesn't matter. We have to rank this fairly, and it's not good. It's in between the two worst shows of so far of this Tiermaker. So between First New York and St. Paul for this one. Sorry.
Also, something to add. I've got something to add. I like how who wears these shoes, like the Darlings, get like progressively worse.
Worse,
throughout the song.
yeah.
The first one's okay. The second one's fine. Third one's bad, and the fourth one's like hideous.
Also, leave on the classic leave on fuck up too.
Yeah.
Can I please say something?
No.
Okay.
As long as you don't lose. No, because you'll lose.
What was your ranking going to be, Greg? And by the way, you've been outvoted, so you cannot do what you please.
Yes.
I know. I'm gonna be fair here, but
This is a democracy, not the GregsynthWizard show. Oh wait, it is. Oh shit.
No, I'm gonna be fair. I feel so dejected right now. All right. Okay.
Oh, fucking.
Okay. Would you like to tell me what I was going to rank it before I heard?
I see.
No, I was not. No,
Low C.
I was gonna put it at lowish C. But,
Oh dear.
Wait. But when I'm thinking about it, and it's like I do give it some credit, and even if I throw the sentimental stuff out, I mean, I can still find bullshit on this show to like. But okay, I am going to compromise. I want to put this at high D, but a notch below MSG.
That's
Please?
fine. Yes.
That's what we agreed.
Okay.
Yes.
So, oh my God. All right, I'm gonna. Would like to start Third Worcester.
Greg should start it.
Yeah, Greg.
Yeah, I think I should. Yeah, I'm in agreement to that. Go on, Mr. Synth.
Hey, I gotta get my composure under control.
Oh, is this another outtake?
Wait.
Make sure
here.
make.
No.
Yes.
He's got to make
is
sure.
the answer.
He likes 19 seconds.
Okay.
He's got to make sure he doesn't chat so much
Okay,
bot
all right.
time, right?
All right,
Okay.
go ahead.
All right.
Right.
Okay. Third Worcester is a very interesting listen because the first two we have are excellent broadcast quality style recordings. You can hear everything. This one, I'm sorry, I could not get a better recording. It sounds bad. I know that. But listening to it, it's weird because the first Worcester show, despite it being, chaotic, cocaine, creative energy, it's a really good show with what we have. And second Worcester is interesting. And then third Worcester, I'm listening to it and it's like, yes, the rough voice is still there from the second night because it hasn't healed. But Elton is so much more reckless on songs. Like, he's trying to sing like the prime Euro gigs on some performances, and it doesn't sound good because he's not in the vocal shape to do it. And then you have Little Refrigerator where he does that nonsensical bullshit phrasing in the first chorus, and then after he does that, that straw boater hat ghost phrasing, and then completely growls the shit out of cold, which sounds absolutely lovely. It's like, yes, there's less flubs with lyrics and stuff compared to the other night, but I honestly think he sounds just as bad, if not worse, on some of these performances. Although, admittedly, One More Arrow is not too bad considering it's the last version. Although, chop chop chef's kiss is doesn't work. But the chop chop phrasing doesn't.
How on earth have you got a chef's kiss into a bad performance?
Because it's the last version. Thank fuck it is. But
the MSG version might have been good.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Or Tampa ones because we don't have those.
Yeah.
I'm just glad he didn't do it in Charlotte.
Yeah, I'm just glad we didn't have Charlotte do it. But I don't know. Third Worcester to me, I can somewhat defend and excuse second Worcester a little bit because of the quote sentimental value. I can't really excuse the third Worcester
because you've got no sentimental value towards it.
Well, because I didn't grow up with the show, dude. But it's but
is this like you in LA '86 saying he was rough around the edges?
Yeah, he was rough.
Rough around the edges.
I can't wait for that Tiermaker where you're defending. And to be fair, I'll be defending it as well to an extent.
Oh my god, I am so tired of being the ass of jokes. But yeah, Third Worcester to me is an unpleasant listen because of the extremely rough, abusive, like overdriven singing that doesn't fit too well. It's essentially like second Worcester, but in way worse quality. Band are still good, but it's not something I'll pull out. Plus, the quality is just, makes it a little less appealing. So, I will also throw third Worcester into the D category, and I'm going to put it below second Worcester, and I'm going to leave it at that, and I want someone, I don't care who it is, to start talking.
I would actually put it above it.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Well, because there's a light out in your window. Or how about, Benny the Jets?
Come on, go ahead.
Also, the Benny is better here because this is the last time he ever hit the D5s in the third chorus.
Oh.
And it sounds fucking good.
Yeah.
It's like the best. That's like that's the best notes of the fucking night. That was
It's like his voice clears out for a moment, and he clears his mind and goes, "Let's nail this."
I'm teetering though. There's a lot of goofy shit on the show. Like the Darlings are bad and shit. But, I was thinking, okay, is this better than First New York? Probably not. But it is better than the second Worcester show because One More Arrow, he actually hits the notes. Yellow Brick Road, he actually hits more C5s on top than I thought he did. I think he hits one of them on top, and then the other ones don't sound that bad. But, One More Arrow is not bad at all. Fill Up for Freedom is fun. Who wears these shoes, darling? but I just like how in the fucking at the beginning of the show he fucking the beginning of the fucking song he just fucking oversings the shit out of the first line. It's fucking stupid. But it's like Jesus, man. It's
Do you know what else doesn't help?
Yeah.
It's the picture that Greg's used.
Yeah.
That's
the
not.
eyes are fucked.
His eyes are in the back of his head. Right.
I thought it fit the gig extremely well.
Imagine if that photo was taken at the gig, like.
There we go. Oh boy. Ethan, where does this show rank?
Well, I did TSS put it. I didn't really catch where he put it.
I have it in D, but it's better than the second Worcester show.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, like there's some moments on it where, yeah, I can say he's better than the first show. The second show.
Second show.
Yes.
Second
Yes.
show of this part.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Whoopsie.
Nearly. Corrected myself though, so that's fine. But yeah, I'd agree with TSS. Yeah. Which means Greg loses again.
I did not lose. We're all in the same fucking rank.
Yeah, but you still have to rank something higher than something else.
I'm suspending that part. Okay, so are we in agreement?
You forgot me, Synth.
No, I was about to say something and I forgot. Go ahead.
You're an idiot, right?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, this has to go above the second show, because at least here there are shining moments. But unfortunately, it's not as good as first MSG, so I'm afraid it's still a high D. But this show pales into mere insignificance with what's coming next. No.
All right.
I'm having to have a caffeine. Oh, I need caffeine for this. Oh,
I got some Colombian coffee.
oh, lovely.
But don't have shards of glass in there. But would you like? But I'll get to that. Would you like to start, Charlotte, or should I recklessly start?
Me? Yeah, go on then.
All right. You want to start it?
Okay. Yeah.
Go ahead.
This is the worst show of the year. This goes into the low D straight away. Elton is all over the place. He sounds rough as hell. And there are performances of songs here that are just... like, Candle is just... oh my god! I hate it so much! It just... oh, doesn't make you cry. Oh, no! It just doesn't work. Like, it's a ballad, not a fucking... let's go and out growl myself. Oh dear. I mean, we have MTV.
Yeah,
No
I
wonder
hate
how-
MTV.
No wonder he hates MTV. They were making him do stuff while he was sick. Even the audience member picks up on it. Elton's a little destructive tonight. A little. Oh,
Flagpole!
And if the groom would have known it, I had a shit. I'm like, what? I beg your pardon?
Or it's like, and up sit and play the radio on the 445. Like, oh, the 449. The 449 is probably a route in freaking North Carolina or something.
Yeah, there are performances at this show where Elton just goes off on his own tangent. I think Daniel's a performance where he makes up piano parts, and I think it leads the band off in another direction. He doesn't know where he is.
Goes in an unplanned direction.
Often, yeah. It's similar with the next tour, but yeah, I really don't like this gig. If it was, this would be the worst of the year. It is a low D, or if you're gonna put it in the mid D category, it'd be underneath St. Paul. Oh god!
But St. Paul is the lowest version of the lowest ranking of the gig, so yeah, this
it's going under that.
You're not gonna put it in E?
No, because there is redeeming features. Because the music's good.
Yes.
And to be fair to him, he does a good Benny solo. I will give that credit. And he does hit a B flat and I'm Still Standing. Which is...
well, yes,
he
but he
tries.
also... Well, he hits it, but he also overshoots one of the A flats to A.
Oh, that's funny.
You're like, I'm still standing.
Uh,
Oh,
yeah,
God.
it's just and also I like to also mention NCF1 for some of the most entertaining comments I've ever read for a concert on
Yes.
this show, especially his comment on Crocodile Rock that I can't really read, but if you want to go read it, please do it. He is one funny person, and I hope to read more of his comments in the future.
Yes.
Well, I can tell you, I'm paraphrasing it, but he said, it was, it was terrible, and he said there was not a single redeemable song in the set. So,
He makes a point.
and then some of the comments on Daniel and a few of the other songs, like Candle, are just, I had to pin the comments because they're that good. So, but here's the thing. I'm going to be generous. Since TSS uploaded a song from Charlotte, many, many, many years ago, before I even had anything to do with it, I'll let you go next. And why don't you explain the infamous nature of this show?
Well, first of all, I still remember when we were driving from I-75 to state US 23, and I played fucking Charlotte.
Oh, I'm gonna crash my
Tiny
fucking
Dancer.
car.
Yeah, Tiny Dancer was playing as we got off the highway, and we got off the freaking thing. But it's like, man.
Did Greg count the headlights?
I was counting.
Well,
I almost crashed. So go ahead.
Oh my god. Wow, this fucking gig. Tiny Dancer, rough as fuck. Holy shit. Leave on with the fucking classic flub. Yeah, it's like when the New York Times. Yeah, when the New York Times said, "God, war's begun."
There are the days.
Oh my god.
Counting.
Yeah. My god, like the roughness, and then like I said, the fucking Candle. Oh my god. Who wears these shoes? Sad songs, bad stuff. Even sorry seems. It's like it's fucking. The tone is just. Oh my god. I hate MTV. Then after that, it's like. Then he hits like a clunk. He hits like a clunk. It's like Benny. Like fucking stupid. Oh my god. Oh Jesus. It's like Kiss the Bride is rough. I'm Still Standing has the overshot, like the A4 in it, but he has the B flat in there, which makes no sense. And then Saturday's pretty rough. Yellow Brick Road is off, and Crocodile Rock is just, it's like this is the worst show on the tour. The lowest of D ranking. It's not E, because if it was E, then it would be absolutely no redeeming qualities of the show. But the musicianship is amazing, so I can't really say that. But it's just like the performances look elsewhere. The quality is great too, which doesn't help. But again, it's legitimately the worst show on this tour.
Yes. I would agree.
Yeah, go ahead, Ethan. Plead your case. Go ahead.
I mean, like, what else can you say, really? You guys just basically said what I needed to say. Worst show on the tour. Quality's good. Yeah, it's just a rough show all around. Unlike the next show.
Well, for Charlotte, what I think about it is there is a redeemable quality on it besides the musicianship that we all missed, and I admit that I missed this too. There's no One More Arrow, but the thing is, Charlotte. As far as the worst show on the tour, I would say, on one hand, yes, because you got that St. Paul gig, but the thing between the two shows, these are the two bottom tier shows, St. Paul and Charlotte. at Charlotte, Elton sounds worse vocally than St. Paul, and he also sings worse. So that doesn't help. The only thing that Charlotte has over St. Paul would be the fact that the song structures aren't slaughtered. Like there's more, it's more tight, and Elton doesn't like
Fair enough.
do that. That's the only thing Charlotte has over St. Paul, is that the vocally he sounds worse. He sounds more rough. The deliveries are worse. No, yeah. So I can definitely see St. Paul is among the worst shows. Like probably the worst one in terms of like state of mind mixed with musicianship. Well, I would say Charlotte's the worst vocal show on the tour. So they're both down in the fucking dumps.
But then I have a question. If you had the choice between St. Paul and Charlotte, what gig would you want to listen to on a song by song basis?
Well, the thing is, Charlotte, he sounds worse. St. Paul has more flubs musically. I would probably say definitely both these gigs are among the worst in the Prime Live. Easily.
Right, but which gig would you want to listen to in terms of like individual songs?
Individual songs.
Put the gun to his head.
Oh, fucking hell, don't do that shit to me.
Pull the trigger, now
no!
he's dead.
No. On the average, I would say that St. Paul.
St. Paul.
No, I would say.
That's brilliant, that is.
Shut up. I would say St. Paul is a cunt hair better. So I would put Charlotte down is a little bit worse just because of how Elton sounds, because it's that bad. It's that much worse.
Yeah, because at least at St. Paul, so the performances are funny enough where you want to listen to it. Like for Charlotte, I really have to be in a real depressive mood to even freaking consider it. The MTV thing on Benny is a fun thing to listen to. That's probably the only song that I would probably go back on a regular basis. Candle, I like the goofiness better and St. Paul better.
Yeah. So Charlotte is basically what you don't want to hear from the tour.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the glass in the throat singing doesn't help matters. So, yeah. Thank you, NCF1.
There's also another dedication for this gig, I think.
Yeah. Also, for Charlotte, I'd like to also dedicate the gig to another excellent subscriber. Very special gig for a very special person, Daniel. That one's for you. So, any more thoughts about Charlotte?
No, let's move on.
No, yeah, let's move on.
We have one more gig to go.
One more gig. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
So I'll tell you this. TSS, it's New
Yes.
York. Please start this off.
Okay, what a difference a week makes. Holy shit. Not even a week, of like 4 days, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
this was the show that was supposed to be 10:25, but then got postponed. As Elton says at the beginning, we apologize for our first non-appearance. But oh my god, a 180 this is. Holy shit. With that being said, though, even though it's really great and really fantastic, I would rank this just below the. Well, let me think about this for a second. Holy shit! Ow. Ooh, that's a tough one. But I would say this probably is just below First Worcester in the B category.
Yeah.
Yes, because
I'll go with that.
Yeah, because the performances are really good, really respectable. Knows the lyrics perfectly there. Mind is perfectly there. Last version of Goodbye Yellow Brick Road in the original key. So this is a fantastic show to listen to, and definitely makes up for the sick gigs in October. So I definitely would listen to this gig a few times without hesitation. So this goes into B, just below First Worcester for me.
All right.
This,
Who'd like
this,
to go next?
I'll go next. This was another show actually that I can remember being one of the first we got with
Yes.
that goofy picture that you used, and I love the Benny. Which is phrasing I love, but it's a terrific gig again. We have final prime live versions of particular songs like Tiny Dancer for Ethan, Crocodile Rock, in it with the original notes. But it compared to Charlotte, this is just a complete 180. And you listen to a song like Don't Let the Sun and you're like, is this the same guy? Like, what happened? And all it is good old fashioned rest and the lack of drugs. Put it after First Worcester. Next!
Right. Yeah, this show's fantastic overall. Clean voice, like for the first time since fucking
First Worcester.
Yeah, First Worcester. Yeah. Clean voice for the first time since First Worcester. Good band, good everything really. It's got a nice version of Little Refrigerator, nice version of Who Wears These Shoes. Last prime live version of Tiny Dancer. Last version of Goodbye Yellow Brick Road in the original key. If I was feeling really generous, I'd try and push this up to an A. But I think overall I'd go with a high B. But if I was really generous, I'd try and push it up to a low A.
Greg, what do you
Why are
think?
you making noises like that?
Yeah.
Well,
Great. Are you sure you're not doing unspeakable actions behind your camera?
no, I'm just. My state of mind is just altered. So, everything's going really fast, and my hands are trembly. But about this show, Last MSG. It's another one of these somewhat sentimental ones because this was the very first Elton bootleg I ever purchased. I purchased it a long time ago off of the website. Still have the case sitting on my shelf. So there's something about this show that that I like. So there's that. So I'll get the sentimental crap out of the way. But for me in this show, I don't know. I like it more than everybody here. So, and I'll explain. And hear me out on this one.
Okay.
And I'll try to condense it so it makes some sort of sense. Now TSS Killer.
DSS Killer.
I'm direct home satellite right now. I'm the direct satellite service here called DirecTV.
It's like I'll
I was going to say, what about DFS? Get you the next sofa. The never-ending sale.
It's like I would love to play my Nintendo TS, but no. But the thing is, what was being mentioned about the show? Before I say my ranking, I'll explain something about the show real quick. This one to me is a redemption show.
Yes.
Because the two Worcesters and the Charlotte gig, by tour standards, are hideous. So I'm not going to disagree with anybody ranking them down, in the dumps like that. So yeah, those three shows are hideous. To have a show like this, come out of nowhere and be that good is amazing because it sounds nothing like those three. And then if I think back to it, Montreal and Quebec, what we have is fantastic with the musicianship, but sadly they're incomplete. And then Elton has the American leg tone, and he sounds fine. Then you have the sick MSG shows, which aren't really the most appealing things to listen to. And then you go back to that, and you have stoned and drunk gigs and off the face Elton stuff, through September and early October. And this MSG show is probably the most well-rounded show. Overall, if I were to start at, August onward, so post-Tacoma. The only other show that can compete with that in that sense would be Philadelphia, because we have most of it, and it is really good.
Yeah.
But about MSG this last night, there's something about it, and I was listening through that is that's great because obviously Elton had to postpone the 25th because he couldn't perform. He was sick with the flu. This is the makeup show. So when Elton comes out on stage, from the moment he starts singing, you can tell he's into it. He wants to deliver these songs. It's like he wants to put on the best show he can. He's performing like, I got to make it up for this show that I missed. I got to make it up for the flu gigs. So he puts in a lot of effort. The band sound fantastic too, which is excellent. And he tries out a lot of things on these gigs. Like his Euro Express edge comes back on some of the songs. Like Don't Let the Sun starts off good, and then by the final chorus, it sounds almost the same as a mid to late June gig from Euro Express. And and while I would still say Euro Express for the most part has better singing, more confident vocals. This one, considering what we have on the tour, his voice is pretty clean. It's not too rough, and he's with it. He's not trying to be too macho or oversing shit into the ground, and he's with it. He's focused. He delivers these songs like the best he can for the era, and the effort is caught on the tape. The band compliment him great. It's like, I think Elton and the guys had a talk before the show, says, we got to make it up to the people of MSG. We canceled this show. I was sick back then. Let's make it up. So I think they honestly went out there and just, performed like as if it was their last show. Well, almost, because of the history behind what happened. But I wish we had the Tampa shows. But here, I listen to the show. I hear a lot of effort. I hear great performances. A passionate Elton who's with it and not off his face. And the tone is great. And compared to a lot of the other shows on this leg of the tour, I hear a lot less mistakes, more consistency.
Yeah.
And I think honestly the show is a little bit better than what's being said. I want to put it at low A.
Well, I said if I was feeling generous, I would put it at low A. So
I wouldn't be against that either, but I would still put it below Philly.
That's why I said low A, because I think Philadelphia has an edge in some aspects, but the one thing that I'll say that MSG has over Philly is Elton's voice doesn't tire out halfway through a little bit. Like, there's no flu after effects at this MSG show, so the vocals are more consistent. And I would say Philly has an edge and maybe some other bits and pieces here and there, but I would definitely fight to get this MSG show to A. Maybe not to San Francisco A, but
Well, if we're gonna do that, then surely we push the Worcester show up as well.
The thing is, it's incomplete along with those two Canadians. That's why I'm.
Even with it being incomplete, I still.
Well, would you push that up? Well, would you?
But I would argue that his voice is better at the Canadian gigs than it was the first Worcester.
Yeah.
I just think at this MSG show, I honestly think he gives it his all, and there's more of the Euro Express Elton starting to poke through on some of these songs. Like like there's a lot more of an effort, and he's truly given his all. That's what's saying. That's why I want to push this to low A instead of high
Yes.
B.
Okay.
And also, this show's unique because it's the last show with D. Murray on bass.
Well, the last recorded show was Murray on bass. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's what people say. You know, it's the last recorded versions of Prime live versions of songs with classic phrasings.
And also, it's and also technically, this is the last gig with all four members, original members.
Yeah.
Last recorded gig with all four original members.
Yeah, so I want to fight to get this MSG into the A tier. I mean, I'm not saying
and you'll get it.
I'm not saying put it above like the other ones, but I want to put it up there because I think it has enough.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
So should I put it a notch below Philly or above Philly?
No, this would be below Philly, I'd say.
Okay.
Below.
Yeah,
because
below.
if there was a B flat 4 and I'm still standing, then I would put it above it. But no.
Yeah, I just think this MSG gig is truly a great show.
Yeah, considering where it is and how historically significant it is, yeah, I'm willing to concede for that.
Thankfully, it's the last fucking show. But I don't think I go out like that anymore. So right now we have 24 gigs that are on this tour leg that we have recordings for. We have none in All Stars. We have 1 in S, 3 in A. We have 8 in B, 7 in C, and 5 in D. Nothing in E. All I'm going to say is this does not look like the Euro Express Tiermaker.
Hell no.
Oh,
no.
Fuck. Yeah, this is... Wow, what a difference compared to the last tour leg. So, that being said, I'll start saying some final conclusions and stuff. For me, I generally like the tour leg, considering what it is, but it's not Europe. There's only, I would say, 4 shows. Maybe if I was going to be generous with those Canadian complete ones in first wish, I could add them in there. But in terms of nearly complete shows, there's 4 from this tour leg that I could comfortably put with Euro Express. So everything else doesn't really hit the mark for me. And even though there's some good stuff on here, the inconsistencies really drag it down. I would say from the Prime Live era, from 79 through to mid-86, I would say this is the weakest tour leg that is in the Prime Live.
Agreed.
Of the inconsistencies.
Yep.
Yeah, because even on US 86, where Elton's voice is just gone, the musicianship is tight. The mind is still there, but the voice is not. But and the musicianship. So you have better musicians on stage, in my opinion, for 86, and that's why, even though there's worse vocal performances on the next American tour, this still is the 84 one is still ranks the worst in the Prime Live pre-surgery.
Yes. My final thoughts are that I don't listen to this tour leg a lot. I vastly prefer Euro Express, and I prefer 85. So, yeah, and 82 is better, and 80 is better, and 86 is better. So yeah, yeah.
My final conclusion is I would much rather hear the US 84 tour than the US 88 tour. Hell, heaven.
Yeah.
Oh, he left. Oh, there he is.
Mumble keeps cutting out. I don't know why. I think Greg's hijacking me myself.
How can I?
Well, magic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd rather listen to US 84 than US 88. Heaven help us when we have to cover that. But there are some real shining lights on this tour, as we've discussed, and those shows are more than worth the listen. But there are some really funny shows that you should listen to as well. So it's inconsistent, but it's fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna also say my final thoughts real fast here. US 84 is not the first Prime Live shows that the Live tour that I would listen to. As Greg said, there's probably like 7 gigs here that I would probably say you should definitely listen to. And even the ones that are really fucking bad, like St. Paul and Alpine Valley, still listen to them because they're really fucking funny. But also it's because this is the last time that you're going to see on stage the original 4-piece band. And I think that was the real chemistry there. You know, even though you have Fred Mandel just giving the keyboards and extra guitar, this is significant because this is the last time Elton would ever tour with a small band ever again. So this makes it very special. However, the performances are very inconsistent on this leg, and that's why I would always prefer Euro 84, the European Express, rather than this. But definitely do take a look at this tour in terms of listening, because there are gems in the rough. Even the worst gigs, with the exception of maybe 2 gigs, there are stuff that's worth listening to. So definitely it's worth a listen, but I would much rather take Euro 84 and 85, 86 any day of the fucking week than this. Oh, and also, yeah, I would take this. And on the flip side, I would agree with Elton Bootlegs here and say I would rather listen to this than US 88, because unlike here where there's 7 gigs that I would rather listen to, on the US 88 there's 3. That's actually no. I'll be a little bit generous. I would say there's probably 4 or 5. 2 Miamis, then the 2 New Yorks, and in the middle of that, probably maybe first Chicago because of other things. But other than that, the US 84 has more redeeming shows that you'd rather listen to than 88. So that's my piece. So don't skip this leg, but like I said, it wouldn't be the first choice I'd have in the Private Live to listen to them.
Don't dream it's over.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, don't dream it's over. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, pretty much everyone had their piece there. Thank you to the wonderful subscribers that comment on these uploads.
NCF1, thank you, man.
And NCF1,
Yes.
for the number 1 in the National Cassowary Foundation. We salute you. And then love your comments. Keep commenting on it. Stick around after this, because now that 84 is done, we're gonna see the big picture.
97.
And
97, and that's gonna be the best. Yeah, we're talking about Tiermakers being, completely looking different. The 97 one is not going to look anything like the fucking US 84 one.
Wait, so you're telling me in 97 you're not going to put 5 gigs in D and only 1 in S?
I'll tell you this much, you're going to be on the fucking cold medicine, man.
Yeah. I mean, even if I was on that stuff, I still wouldn't rank things in D there on that leg. But yeah, stick around. Stick around for the big picture with 85, 86, and 97 uploads, and crazy uploading schedules and descriptions, and stick around for some more fun. Thank you, NCF1, for the comments, and some other great people out there that are commenting. Daniel, you're a special person. I appreciate your presence, and TSS, Elton Bootlegs, and Ethan, thank you for dealing with my shenanigans on this Tiermaker. And Hydro, who is still listening, so thank you for dealing with us.
Wow, that is impressive.
So yes. So thank you for dealing with me and my nonsense on this Tiermaker. And we're going to keep doing this over and over and over again.
Singing it over and over.
You guys could have a week off after this one.
Yeah, a week off to come down from the sky, and then I'm going to resume the fun again. So yeah, I had a fucking blast on this Tiermaker, and yeah.
Hey, guess what? Guess what, Greg?
What?
You lose.
I didn't lose.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. This is still
Yeah, you
fucking
did.
recording.
Greg loses on a regular basis.
No, I didn't.
There's a lot out in your window. There's a shadow
all
on
right.
the street.
All right, let's stop this silly shit. All right.
Bye bye. We love Greg.
Bye.
Bye.
It's like bye.